Sports TV, man. That's my dude. I rolls with him.
You heard what the man said. It's Flight Sports TV.
Flight Sports TV, that's where it's at.
Flight Sports TV.
What's going on, people? It's Flight Sports TV. You already know what it is. We back with another one of them things. And listen, we ain't going to play with the people right now. Listen, we got my man Sam Dracula in the house, coming off of a thunderous 24 hours. This has been a wild situation for the Hornets. I don't remember this much activity in Lord knows when. We are about to get started, ladies and gentlemen. Buckle up. Make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe. We're giving you some coverage right before everything get going. You know, we got Brandon Miller tonight and company. So let's just get down to the meat and potatoes, ladies and gentlemen. Sam, what's going on, man? You already know what it is. It's Flight Sports. Everything good with you?
Everything's great, man. Everything's great. I love it. I've never been this. I haven't been this happy as a Hornets fan in a while.
Wow.
I love it so much.
Wow. So let's break down these last 24 hours. You know, I guess we could start with all of these moves. We're gonna get to the Terry Rozier moves because some of these things started a little bit before the actual trade deadline. But yesterday was crazy. They looked like they was ready to clean complete house. You know, but some people was able to make some moves and keep themselves put out there. But we're gonna get to it. Right now, we got the situation with PJ Washington. He's headed to Dallas. It's kind of crazy, you know, when you see these players. We pretty much grow up with these guys, you know, and to see them depart, but it's almost like a double-edged sword, and I want to speak to that tonight. So, Sam, what's your thoughts on PJ Washington being moved to Dallas? You see the return that came along with him. You're talking about Grant Williams, Seth Curry, a first-round pick. I don't think that's nothing to scoff at. What's your thoughts on that return and PJ headed out to D-Town, Dallas?
So with PJ, right, that summer he was drafted. That was the first draft after Kemba. That's when I started my channel. So I always felt like a certain like connection there. Like that was like the marker of when I started doing this stuff, right? But it was time. It was long overdue for him, Hayward, right? This group stopped working, and it wasn't ever going to work again, and it had to be shaken up. So PJ, for this return, two things come to mind. A, we fleeced the Dallas Mavericks. I think B, because there's a lot of interest in PJ. There had to have been, because the fact that we get Seth Curry and, more importantly, a top 2 protected pick along with Grant Williams, like that's a lot for PJ. That's a lot. And I like PJ, but he's not worth all that. And so I think the Hornets got the much better end of the deal by far. And I'm not even a big Grant Williams guy. I think he's a bit of a weirdo, right? But he's cheaper than PJ and has actual playoff experience, right? And he's a tough defender. He may think a little more of himself than he probably should. Right? Thinks a little higher of himself than he probably should, Grant Williams. But he's a Charlotte guy. Seth Curry's a Charlotte guy. And that pick, the 2027 top 2 protected pick, could be really useful, especially if Luka leaves Dallas in between now and then, you know?
Yeah, I feel you. That's definitely going to be interesting to see. I did like the fact that you said you talk about a return for PJ. I think he's going to provide them some upside, but to get that first round pick, Let's see what Williams could do. I'd like the Seth pickup. I think that's going to be a lot bigger than people expect. You got your father down there. They need shooters. I'm pretty sure Dell like, yo, listen, man,
Yeah.
we gonna need you, man. So I'm pretty sure he's letting him know what's going on. So it's gonna be a lot broad. I think what I thought immediately was the improvement of the 3-point shooting. Don't you feel like the Hornets have become a better 3-point shooting team, in 24 hours?
Oh, I think just a better yes. To answer the question, yes. But they're a better team just overall. The bench now compared to 24 hours ago or 2 days ago, whatever, is night and day. Absolutely night and day. They cleared out the guards that were either injured or old or not playing, right? And they brought in, I mean, I don't want to jump ahead to the other trade, but the people they brought in are all NBA players, every single one of them. And what we lost some guys who I don't think are NBA players in Book Knight, Ish Smith, and Frankie Smokes, right?
Right. We could get into that as well.
I'm sorry?
We could get into that.
But I just think, to your point, yes, the Hornets are, I think, a much better team today than they were a couple of days ago. And I just wish they did this in November, Like if this team, the season started over today, even with the injury issues, we'd be in the mix for the play with this setup. And it's just unfortunate that it's the season's done. But the guys they did trade for are under contract next year. So will you see this time to see what works and what doesn't work, right? And then have a better outlook for the bench rotation going into next season.
Right. You brought up some of the guys that was waived. We're gonna get into the Gordon Hayward move as well. But you brought up these guys that are waived. Obviously, we know what's going on with Book Knight. Frank. It looked like they woke up yesterday, like, yo, man, people, we shaking this building out,
Yeah.
because they not only did they trade people, they let people go.
Yeah.
What was your thoughts about that? Because I think this was needed. They had to shake it up, in my opinion. I've been saying this for a while. People didn't agree with me. I know I upset a lot of people involved in Book Night and the things that I've said in the past, but I just seen the writing on the wall. But I wanted it to be different. Speaking on Book Night, what was your thoughts when you got that notification through your screen? Because somebody told me before everything popped up, but I just didn't believe it, and I had to look into it for myself, and I was so delighted that happened. What's your thoughts on the exit of James Bouknight from the Charlotte Hornets?
So when the deadline ended, the Hornets had 13 guards on the roster. 13. And you look at, all right, someone they can't bring them all. They had 21 guys in total, I believe. And so they had to get down to 18. And Book Night was a clear choice to get rid of. The fact that they already declined his team option. And then honestly, earlier in the day, when the Pistons said goodbye to Killian Hayes, you think the Book Night pick's bad. The Killian Hayes pick is worse. And they said goodbye to him. And so if they could say goodbye to Killian Hayes, the Hornets could say goodbye to Book Night. And I think both them could do with the change of scenery. The book's not finished on either of them, but they just need a change of scenery. I think Book Night can go somewhere else and figure it out, hopefully, for his sake. But in Charlotte, it was never going to happen. Too many guys have passed him up, even with all the injuries last year and this year. He's not in the rotation. That's all you need to know, right? If you have all these injuries and you're not breaking through, you're not keeping your spot, and you've had two different coaches in this time, it's on you. You got to figure it out. Hopefully, it's a wake-up call for him, and he lands on his feet someplace else.
Right, it sure is. Don't you feel like LaMelo needed to clean up some of this young talent around him? I heard Austin Rivers last year. He spoke on people. I think he was trying to allude to Miles, but I looked at it from guys like Book Knight, people that just wasn't. I don't think Book Knight was dedicated to the game of basketball. I think they brought in guys right now that are much more dedicated to the game of basketball. What do you think about getting Melo surrounded by guys like that?
Well, yeah, they got pros, right? So Seth Curry, pro, right? Grew up in a pro family. He knows what it means to be a pro. Trey Mann's a young player, but this is a third year in the league, right? Misic, he's a pro from Europe. He's 30 years old. He's a grown-ass man, you know? the level, just the age and experience in the guard department has leveled up immensely. And you can't help, not even just LaMelo, but Brandon Miller, right? Just the young guys in general. No one on this team knows how to win, right? Not one guy on this roster has played in a really meaningful game. And you have to have veterans to lift that up. Grant Williams has the most experience on this team, like from a playoff point of view, right? I don't like the idea of Grant Williams being the leader on this team, but that's probably what's going to happen. And I think it'll be good for the greater good. But yeah, there has to be that level of mentoring now, and you have that. You have potential with that, with Bertans, with Williams, with Seth Curry, and Micic to a certain degree.
Right. I'm just getting some more insight on Micic, like you said. What was he, a EuroLeague MVP?
Oh, he's a stud. His resume is
Yeah,
nuts.
yeah. The more and more I've been hearing about him, because his name just flew under the radar in this trade. I
Mhm.
guess you got to be more aware of what's going on internationally. But I like the Bertans move. I'm very high on him when he's healthy. I think that he's going to be able to help LaMelo stretch the floor, get to the basket. I think even Miller, you can have Seth on one side, Bertans. Your 3-point shooting has improved immensely just with those two alone.
Mhm.
I just think you put one of them in the corners, Miller getting to the rim now, and you see he's starting to get that Paul George swagger. He's starting to validate that talk that he was saying prior to getting drafted. So I'm interested to see, what about Gordon Hayward? A lot of people, I know you love Gordon, and a lot of people did, but it was a section who hated him, who wanted him gone like yesterday. The Gordon Hayward experiment is over in Charlotte. I think Gordon, he ain't gonna get enough credit, but he actually did some things. It wasn't all bad, in my opinion, but he needed to get out of Charlotte. What do you think about Gordon headed out to Oklahoma City and the return and everything like that?
So it was weird because there were reports leading up to the deadline that the Hornets were like to not rule out Charlotte keeping him and bringing him back next year. And then the next day he's gone. He's the first guy traded, right? And I was like, okay, interesting, especially because he hasn't played basketball in 2024 yet. And that is what surprised me the most, that he was actually someone went to go get him. Now OKC, they had that team is that roster's stacked, right? They can survive if Hayward gets hurt again, because he's going to come back soon, and if he stays available, great. If he goes out, they can withstand it. But they need some veteran leadership as well on their end as well. But yeah, I mean the return I think is super solid, right? Your Micic, like we talked about, Bertans, and so when they brought in Bertans, right? Because that was the first one. I made a video on it like shortly after, and I was like, well, that probably means PJ's gone. I didn't expect them to bring in Grant Williams like that. I was still kind of hoping for that Josh Green move that was kind of rumored leading up to the deadline. But yeah, bringing in a stretch for a guy who hasn't played in 2024, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. Plus, I think there's 2 second-round picks in the mix this year and next year. And then Trey Mann, a young guard that showed some promise early, lost his spot. OKC super deep, like I mentioned before. Case and Wallace took his spot basically, and he's a rookie deal. He's on a rookie deal this year and next year. So Charlotte has some time to figure that out. What he is, how he fits into the group, what's his best position, all that stuff. So I think it's honestly I think the Rozier deal, now that it's clear that Lowry is going to be bought out and not traded, that deal was a big L. Only getting 1 first-round pick for Terry Rozier is an L, but the PJ deal and the Gordon Hayward deal are massive W's in my opinion.
Right. I was just listening to Mitch Kupchak. If anybody, did you see Mitch
Yeah,
Kupchak's
I watched a little bit of
availability?
from
Yeah.
Barcelona.
Yeah, so I'm hearing about the picks. We could break down some of the things that were said. He spoke on how the picks are valuable, and as a Knick fan, I've been in this situation that the Hornets have been are in right now, just at the bottom of the barrel, accumulating some picks. It's all about what you do with these picks. You
Mhm.
hear Mitch talk about these picks are way out there. He's saying and things like that, but he's speaking on how valuable they are. We do know first round picks are a treasure. What are they doing with these picks that are out there in 27? Because I believe they have accumulated two now. I know they don't have till 2027 to be drafting players. What is the plan with these picks, in your opinion?
So I mean, first off, like our Charlotte's pick is lottery protected this year and next year. Otherwise, it goes to the Spurs. So the Hornets own first round picks kind of up in the air. So it's nice to have some security with extra picks. Let's say the Hornets make the playoffs next year and don't have a first round pick in next year's draft, having the 27 picks to mess with, it will be nice in 2026, Um, but yeah, like this roster is under construction, right? Mark Williams' health is a big question mark. We don't know what they'll get from this year's draft class, but when it comes time to like fully go for it, having those options with the salary cap and with these picks, it's a great place to be, right? Because that means you can bundle contracts and picks to get in the player that suits you instead of taking a chance on another young guy. Like if like a whatever version of Donovan Mitchell's available in 2027, let's say just for example, the Hornets could get involved in that where before they couldn't because they didn't have the draft capital. Or they keep punting it down the line too, trading out again, getting like a 28 pick or 29 pick, whatever. But the idea, the notion of having Dallas's pick, which is I think is more valuable than the Miami one, because the Miami one's lottery protected. It becomes a 28 pick if the Heat don't make the playoffs in 27, which seems unlikely because it's the Heat. But the the Mavericks one, you never know with Luca, right? And so it being a top two protected pick in 2027, that's coming to us unless things go horribly wrong for Dallas. That's a very strong pick to have in the rotation. And these days, we're seeing like an increased value on second rounders too. So having two extra ones from OKC, um, doesn't hurt things. And this historically, this administration has done pretty well in the second round. So it's honestly like the healthiest. This like I know injury wise, it's an issue. Like I'm not when I say healthy, I don't mean injury, but just from like a overall holistic point of view, this is the healthiest roster we've seen in Charlotte for a while. When you look at all the assets,
Right. What were some of the other key takeaways from Mitch's media availability that was glaring to you, in your opinion?
I mean the Mark Williams stuff, he kind of like slipped and mentioned that,
Yeah.
and he had to talk about it. The fact that he's going to be out or reevaluated in 4 weeks, and he's not going to come back in 4 weeks. That was just like, all right, we'll see how he is. Probably be. I think his season's done. From what Mitch was talking about, he didn't say that, but reading between the lines, that seemed to be where that's heading, which is a bummer because that dude needs experience. And first year wasted away in Greensboro, second year wasted away on the bench with this injury. It's an issue going into year three. So when you look at like the future of this team and projecting out who are like the keepers and who are like the guys you want to move on from or not count on in your planning, it's hard to put Mark Williams in that mix when you have a 7-footer with the bad back. With that's get like an injury that's worse than expected, right? So that's an issue. I love what he said about the owners and how involved they were and how knowledgeable they are. And the fact that they mentioned that I think it was Mitch quoting them saying, why like this core has to be broken up. It's I'm butchering the quote, but this is the general idea that why PJ was traded, why Hayward was traded is because this we've seen this and it hasn't worked. We need to move on. And that's what I've been saying. That's what a lot of Hornets fans have been saying. And it's like the definition of insanity, right? We've seen this group together for 4.5 years and they've done shit with it. It's time to move on. And adding Trey Mann, Misich, Bertans, Williams, Curry, like Curry is a $4 million contract next season. Bertans is a $16 million contract next season. Grant Williams is cheaper than PJ, arguably better, maybe marginally worse, subjective, but they're pretty equal players, but he's cheaper, right? Trey Mann on a rookie deal. So idea, like if they want to move on for Bertans, and you could put him with a McGowan's or whatever, you can that contract is so tradable. Like you can get a $20 million guy, and then depending on what happens with Bridges, right? The Hornets are looking at around $30 million of cap space if they don't bring back Bridges. You know, you can't really rely on guys hitting free agency. You're just, and then being Charlotte, it's gonna be hard to get those guys here, but they could be players. You know, they could put offers in. Not they're going to win offers, but they could do it. They could be on Twitter. They could be on SportsCenter. They could be talked about as teams going for guys. You have with like Siakam or Anunoby or DeRozan, or like if Chicago lets go, like declines the option on Lonzo, like they can get involved with these things now that they couldn't before they traded Terry Rozier, started all of this I don't know, this plan to blow it up, basically.
Right. You brought up Miles. I want to bring something up because I had put a video out yesterday discussing Miles and Rich Paul. You know, I pretty much said that they imposed their will on the Charlotte Hornets. What did you think about in that 11th hour? They start talking about they pulling veto power and this, that, and the third, and making sure his bird rights is secured. It seemed like it was a major power play that just went down. What do you think went on? And it seems like Mitch is trying to iron things out. I do believe they was trying to get his ass out of town too. Miles, I believe, was gone. Do you believe Miles was on his way out the door? And what do you think about in the 11th hour? They talking all this craziness. Rich Paul was involved, and the reports came out that his representation was behind all of this. Even Mitch alluded to that in his media availability. What do you think was going on?
Yeah, so that was the first like bit of news from deadline day that Rich Paul was like, "Yo, we're declining any we're not going to allow any for any trades. We're gonna we're not waiving the no trade." And that was the first like domino to fall. You know, Miles Bridges has been playing like been shooting his ass off the past two games, especially, and it seemed like he was in audition mode. That's what it seemed like. The fact that he wasn't he's scoring 41 points and getting zero rebounds is crazy. You know, it seemed like he was just trying to fill up the stat sheet, especially against the Los Angeles Lakers. But I agree with you. Like, it's in Miles Bridges' best interest to stay in Charlotte, use that as a leveraging point, and take whatever offer he gets from Charlotte. Because we can go over the salary cap to sign him. We keep his bird rights, right? And if he says, Charlotte's offering me this, can you offer me this? He can go to any team he wants with that. Like this maximizes his earning potential doing it this way. And I assume what the Bridges we've seen the last couple of games, we're going to see it the rest of the way. Him just emphasizing scoring, just pumping up his own numbers. That's why I feel this is going. And so that's one piece. And the other piece is like the idea that Phoenix wanted him badly, but they have nothing to trade, And so Phoenix seemed like that was the destination for him, but they don't have anything. After the Beal trade and the Durant deal, they got nothing for what Miles Bridges brings, like nothing of value, picks wise or asset wise. So I think it was a perfect mix or a perfect opportunity for him and Clutch to just say, you know what, it's in our best interest to stay here. We'll evaluate it in the summer. We know Charlotte wants us, and we'll know we get a good offer from Charlotte. But we also could know we could take that same offer to another team and say, can you do this? Can you get us in this ballpark? Otherwise, we'll go back to Charlotte or figure out a sign and trade in the summer. Because that's another thing on the Hornets side, given all this, because of the Phoenix like lack of assets to trade, the market for them to get it like equal value for Bridges, I think is pretty low, or would be pretty hard to do now. But it would be much easier to do in the summer if they go that route.
Right. Do you think that LaMelo is behind making sure Miles is secured in Charlotte? Because it seems like every time Miles could be on his way out the door, it's like a strong hold on him in here in Charlotte, in my opinion. It seems like that Melo connection is running deep behind the scenes. It seems like Miles continues to get safe. Everybody done got the hell up out of town. No, Miles Bridges damn well should have been a part of this. And he's safe. You know, do you think LaMelo is behind any of this? And not this not a bad thing, but
Mhm.
just going to the organization. Hold on, Miles. Now, hold on, what we doing? You know, do you think Melo is more involved on the Miles process than anything else?
I don't think so. I don't think Kupchak would do anything that he doesn't want to do, right? Or that owners don't want to do. I think it's more ownership driven, honestly. Because I remember Kobe demanded a trade and Mitch said nah. You know, like Mitch told Kobe no. So I don't think he's gonna. I don't think he's gonna bend in for anyone. You know, well, with all due respect to Lamelo Ball, you know, I guess it's not if Mitch is not gonna do what Kobe wants. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think it's I think these owners like Miles and they want to bring him back. You know, they took the risk to bring him back initially, and they don't want to lose him for nothing. I think that's where this is coming from.
Yeah, I'm with you there. You know, it's gonna be interesting to see. I just hope Miles Bridges has this energy because I'm listening to him on these podiums and stuff. He talking about how, yeah, I just love Charlotte, man. That's why I don't want to be nowhere else. I just hope when he hit unrestricted free agency, he got that energy. Do you think he's gonna have that same energy, or it's gonna be a change of plans?
I think he's going to be taking meetings with everybody, man. Anybody and everybody, whether it's a sign and trade or straight up deal. Like it's honestly like he was what he should do, right? Like you owe it to yourself, especially he didn't get paid at all last year. So if you look at the person and it's like, you know what, I want to maximize my earning potential. You only have so many years in the NBA anyway. He owes it to himself to get the best deal possible. But I think I like if I I don't have enough faith in him to be like to believe what he says. You know, he may want to stay here, but is that because he'll get the best deal here, or is it because he really likes playing here and he wants to be a part of this? I think he'll stay here because he'll get the best deal here versus like really want to be part of this. And yeah, I don't know. I prefer it. This is now the third. This will be the third off season in a row where Miles Bridges is the center, the hinge point of this franchise. His decision, the 2 years ago, the summer of the arrest, Charlotte couldn't do anything because that whole thing was up in the air. He sunk that whole offseason. The next year, his return back, what's going to happen with Miles Bridges? That was the biggest topic of discussion. And then now, going in again, then this next offseason, again, Miles Bridges. Miles Bridges is a very good basketball player, but he does not deserve to be the topic of conversation for 3 straight off seasons in a row for the Charlotte Hornets. And so I wish to just either we just got it done and never had to deal with it again, but now we're gonna have to deal with it again.
Yeah, you know, and I just like I said, I'm looking at Detroit. They just traded for Quentin Grimes. They're gonna have cap space. You know, that's hometown.
Mhm.
They didn't sign Monty for no reason. They're gonna have to bring in some kind of talent. And you've heard Detroit. You've heard Miles. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. Because what if a team does put down some of that money that he was looking for? You know, then what? Who's to say? Why should the Charlotte put up all this money to lose? Or you know what you're getting from Miles? You know, so it's going to be a huge decision that has to be made. More decisions have to be made. Um, what about Steve Clifford here? It wasn't nothing but what a week ago. I think he rung the alarm, and I think he set the tone. In my opinion, I don't think he getting lost in the shuffle. And Steve deserves a little bit of credit because he said we are under talented, and all of the major media people picked it up. You know, this is Charlotte. You know, we just got to keep it real. It's not Los Angeles. It's not LA. So certain things that go on, you know, sometimes the major media guys need to pick it up for it to be bigger than what it was. You know, and I like that. They started laughing on the bench in New York. Mike Breen, bro, they started really poking the bear of the national media in Charlotte. So, what do you think about Steve Clifford coming out and saying that, talking
Um,
about the under talent and shit like that? How do you feel like? What was your thoughts when he said that?
well, I was like, you know, it's weird because he said this most talented team he's ever coached going into the year. So which is it? The same team. Now you're missing guys, yeah, true. But it's It's weird. You know, going back to the cup check thing, he said he thought this team would be a playoff team going into the year, or like in that mix. That is like, what are you talking about? What part of this roster you thought this was gonna be a playoff team, Mitch Kupchak? That's nuts to me. But yeah, with Clifford, I mean, he's seen it all. He's been saying how soft, like this team is soft, you know, and now he's talking about it being under talented, and he's right. It is, and it's better now, but it's too late. The season's over with, and he's probably gonna be gone in the summer. So, like, I'm glad he came to this conclusion, but when he's been talking about how tentative the front court has been game after game, how the team doesn't set proper screens night after night. It's like, all right, well, are you surprised? Like, if you're saying it, it's just how this is what we've been seeing, is what we've been building up to. And so it's nice to say it out loud, you know. I know these guys don't want to lose. No one wants to lose, but even like going back to what the national media picks up on, Ron Rozier says it's a losing culture here. That's what he's talking about. You know, blown leads or blown comebacks or missed opportunities, bad third quarters. You know, that's the Charlotte culture right now, and it's going to take a lot to fix it.
Yeah, you brought up Terry saying that. I almost forgot all about that as well.
Mhm.
It seemed like I said, they was poking the bear, and it seemed like they backed Mitch into a corner. Steve Clifford on that podium, to me, that was a direct shot at Mitch Kupchak. You know, he didn't say his name or anything like that, but when you start talking about under-talented and we got to do this and we got to do that, that sounds like something you need to be talking to the front office. Talking about,
Mhm.
listen, we can't make no mistakes. We got to limit this. We don't have the talent that these other. And there's nothing wrong with telling them that. I mean, you just felt so sorry for Steve Clifford. You know, now he finally gets some changing of the pieces, but who knows if he'll stick around. Do you think Steve Clifford and Mitch Kupchak survives this summer? Because, like I said, Mitch just got active. What's going on with Mitch Kupchak here? Because I think that it's too late, you know, in my opinion. Like a lot of people are echoing. What happens with these two characters? Let's start with Mitch Kupchak.
I think Mitch remains with the organization, but just in a different role. Honestly, I think they bring in a different GM and reassign Mitch Kupchak. I think that's where this goes. The fact that they're in Barcelona right now tells me, you know, they're planning on keeping Mitch in the mix, right? They're meeting with James Najee, the guy they drafted last year and stashed at Barcelona, who doesn't really play over there, which isn't a great start. You know, they're checking on him, meeting with him. You wouldn't do that with the guy you're planning on firing. I wouldn't assume, but I think you would do it with the guy who you're planning on reassigning. If you're planning on going in a different direction, I think that's where that's heading with Kupchak.
Yeah.
What about just a guess though? Just a
what
guess.
about so if Kupchak will be there, what about Clifford? That means he's gonna remain too, right?
Well, so Cliff has a team option, right? And the Cliff is gone. I think Cliff's a goner for sure. Um, and similar to Kupchak, I think he either takes a different role within the Hornets because he was a consultant before he was a consultant with the Nets before coaching the Hornets again. And I can see him doing that. You know, he's an NBA lifer. He's well respected by damn near everybody in the league. You know, he has a good NBA mind. I just think he's not the right man to guide this team long term. And this is a long term thing what the Hornets have going on here. And he's not. I don't think he's the right guy for the mix at the moment. So I can see him getting reassigned as well. Maybe like moving up in the front office because I think he's a viable basketball mind to keep around. But day in day out, no. I mean, he said himself. He's like he's taking the defensive issues that this Hornets team has had this year personally, saying it's on him, right? Using his own words as, "It's my fault. We're not getting this right defensively." So, you know, they need a new voice in that locker room to take this thing to the next level.
Who would you like to see take over in Charlotte?
Oh,
Because it seemed like
Budenholzer.
Mike.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that'd be nice.
And it's a twofold thing. I think he's an excellent coach, but also his coaching tree. So like the Hornets have to do like when I say new coach, I want everybody replaced. Yeah. Like you can't just bring in a new coach and keep the same staff. This is a recipe for more of the same bullshit. You got like Budenholzer has a legit coaching tree. He's shown the ability to assemble excellent assistant coaches that would later become head coaches. So not only would he bring his coaching ability to the players, but also improve the coaching staff? Because show me one assistant on this team that's going to have a head coaching job anywhere. I don't think it's going to happen. I would love some assistant coaches that are being poached. You know, like it's like that's where you want to be in a as a franchise. You want teams to want your guys. No one's sniffing around Ty Corbin. You know, that's not it's not happening. They're not taking interviews. So Budenholzer, I think would change that if he got hired and was able to assemble a coaching staff that that he liked. You know.
I like Mike Budenholzer that you said that. A lot of people talk about retreads and things like that. I think at this point, you got to bring in a guy that you know what you're gonna get. Mike Boone, I want Mike D'Antoni, but Mike Budenholzer ain't bad either because you know for a fact he has a playoff track record. Wherever he goes, they go into the playoffs. You know, it's like he ain't gonna take nothing less. You know, so you need to bring in guys that ain't gonna take nothing less. Now he might not be able to get you over the hump to the championship, but even though he did, but it might get a little rocky that way sometimes. But he gonna make sure he gets you to the playoffs at the very least, and he's gonna put pressure on the organization to make things happen. You know, he's a championship caliber coach, so it's gonna bring some cachet to Charlotte. So I like that. They need to bring in a guy like that, a name, a guy who could really speak for the organization, in my opinion. And Mike Budenholzer is definitely one of those guys.
No doubt. And you know, if Giannis didn't like break his back in the playoffs, he'd still be employed there. You know, like I think he just got a bad shape in Milwaukee, and I think he'd do wonders here. Now I don't know if he want to come here. That's one of those things I was talking about. I don't like in other on my stream and then on Bleacher Report and stuff. Like the Hornets shouldn't be tanking for a player. They should be tanking for a GM and a coach, right? Making this situation as attractive as possible for new coaching talent or new player personnel talent. And that's with cap space and draft picks. And they did that. This job, either job, GM job, coach job, looks better now than it did a week ago or 2 weeks ago before they started this. You know what I mean? Whenever I don't remember, the Terry Rozier thing feels like it was 5 years ago at this point. But from that point on, this whole thing got a lot better.
Yeah. What did they get back for Rozier? They got a first round pick.
Yeah, so they got Kyle Lowry, who's still on the team for some reason, and a lottery protected top 20, a lottery protected 27 pick.
I don't know what's going on with Kyle Lowry, but it's like he want all his money, so he making this thing difficult.
Yeah.
He acting like he about to sit here and hang out. It said that he don't want no buyout. The Hornets don't want to buy him out. It's like they want to force his ass on the floor. You know, it's crazy what's going on with him, but he will eventually get bought out. And I can see him headed to LA and things like that. And what about the buyout market? Obviously, Charlotte, they probably won't be players in the buyout market, will they?
No. I was looking like they don't really have the spot for it. I mean, once they get rid of Lowry, they could like they have a roster spot at that point, right? But they shouldn't. Like, there's no one really at this stage where they should be going after it. I don't believe. And I think anyone that gets bought out ain't trying to come here, you know. So I think it'll be it's not that type of situation for the Hornets at the moment, unfortunately.
So what about next season? You know, obviously this season was a wash a while ago. This season was finished. What about next year? We talking about all these pieces now. And they're gonna need a training camp and all that good stuff. Who's gonna be running the training camp? We'll find that out. But what about next year? How far can they go? You hear Mitch talking about playoffs, but he don't know what that looks like. What do you think about this situation?
So I think they'll be better next year. Because just from a bench point of view, that was my biggest issue with this team going in this year is the bench sucks. Just too many inexperienced guys or old guys. And this is better. Is like by leaps and bounds better. It all hinges on this guy right here. If he's healthy, it's if he's not healthy, they have no shot to do anything significant next year. They need him and Brandon Miller to be on. Mark Williams is a big question mark. I have massive concerns about his back. So that being said, you know, I mean, with at this stage, probably 9, 8, 10, somewhere in there. Bottom end of the plane at this stage, not knowing what how the full team looks like without the draft pick and all that. You know, it's not. It's definitely better, but it's not going to be easy next year. You know, they got some work to do still. But the beauty of it, they have options. They can use the Bertans contract. You know, they can use the Misic contract or the Cody. You can put Cody Martin's contract in the deal to get something happening. Like they have options. You know, and we'll see how it shakes out. But at this stage, marginally, I think they move up a spot. Because before this, I thought their ceiling was an 11 seed, just for the frame of reference. And now I think that with all the stuff they've done, with the state of this bench and not knowing how the health is going to be next year, and like who's remaining, who's not going to remain, I would say early 9-10 seed.
Right. I hope so, because we had those aspirations. But if Melo is healthy, and you have Miller, I think Miller is going to be. I think he's going to go crazy next year. I think that's what we really going to see. I thought it was going to be another 2 to 3 years with Miller, but he's starting to accelerate the pace. Something tells me, we got these 2 7-footers in Wemby and Chet, and you don't want to wish nothing on any of them, but 7-footers. Foot issues, things like that. Who's to say 5, 6, 7 years from now, Miller ain't the best player in this draft? I was just thinking about that the other day. What do you think about Miller's development and what kind of player he could be next year?
I mean, I'm all in. Like, I swear, there was like the third game of the season or something like that. Hornets were down like 10 points late. He had a fast break, didn't go through the legs, didn't go off the backboard. Like, he just two-hand dunk, ran back on defense. From that moment on, I was like, this dude is a pro. He knows, he gets it. And now he's out here yelling at his teammates to run back on defense. Like, I think he's a real player, not a good player, like a real player. And I think that stuff would rub off on everybody else, on the younger guys. And I think he'll take that into the offseason, because the idea of like him, like putting on some muscle on his frame and potentially like, look, if he can look like Jason Tatum in like 5-6 years, the Charlotte Hornets are going to be in a perennial playoff team. Like that's going to be a big play, and excellent draft pick by Mitch Kupchak if it pans out that way, and it's looking very good.
I think the Miller pickup is definitely a home run. He's definitely going to be looking like he's one of those guys. What do you think about the stamp of approval? You even got the legends, like you got future legends as well. You got KD stamping them. You got Bradley Beal. We know the history there. It seems like we got a lot of guys that are that guy stamping him, letting it be known like, yo, he going to be one of them ones. What do you think about the stamp of approval from some of the top guys in the league towards Miller?
I love it, man. I love it. The players are taking note. Now I just need the refs to take note, because Miller gets hacked a lot. He's not getting any calls, and so whenever he can start getting some superstar calls, that'd be great. That'd be a beautiful thing. But it's great. Right. It's great. Like Scoot's barely playing in fourth quarters, and Brandon Miller's like leading the charge here in Charlotte. Like it's a big dub, a rare and welcomed Hornets W with Brandon Jordan Miller here.
I'm not gonna lie, the Scoot Henderson, I damn like they so horrendous. I can't monitor everything. You understand? What is going on with Scoot Henderson these days?
Well, what I don't understand is like they have Malcolm they didn't move him, right? They kept Brogdon. Why would you do that? Like, I don't get that at all. You should be rocking. The Portland Trailblazers ain't gonna do anything this year. They should be running with Scoot, with Shaedon Sharpe, and with Simons. Like that should be your backcourt. That rotation should be what it is. And now they're got like I don't. It makes no sense to me. Maybe they couldn't find something they like for Brogdon, but why block? Continue like keep a guy here there on your team and blocking the potential play time of the third pick in the draft. That's very weird.
Yeah, it's definitely crazy. It don't make no sense. Somebody says Scoot, rap guy says Scoot traumas. But yeah, and he has some injury issues. Could you imagine if they did draft Scoot Henderson and he's hurt? And I mean, this would have been this could have been serious, man.
Yeah,
They
man.
dodged the bullet there.
Legit. Now, like Scoot's young, he may figure it out. You know what I mean? It's too, he's not a bust, but it's looking very good for us right now. I'm not gonna complain.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you. Could you see a trade happening as early as this summer with Charlotte? Or do you think that is something that's a little further down the line? They're gonna continue to get little singles, little doubles here, or do you think eventually they're gonna go for the big Kahuna? What do you think about that? Pause.
Yeah, I think they'd have to add like a center. They have to, like a real NBA center, just as for Mark Williams insurance. If Mark Williams is fine, then you can move Nick Richards or whatever. But they got to figure that out. I think that should be the priority one. Let me take that back. Priority one should be a proper power forward. Miles Bridges is a 3. He's been playing like a 3. He's been excelling as a 3. They need a proper 4, and then just address the front court. I think that should be the focus this summer, the top priorities. Assuming, of course, Trey Mann can operate as a point guard the rest of the year, because that piece has been long overdue, that backup playmaker. If Trey Mann could do that, excellent. Check that off the list. They got the shooting checked off the list with Bertans and Seth Curry and Grant Williams. They added some defense with Grant Williams. Excuse me. But yeah, like I don't like the idea of starting Grant Williams at the power forward spot. And so yeah, and then with Mark Williams. So like addressing the front court, whether it's in free agency or through the trade market, would be big. But I don't know. Like I don't know. I would love for them to make a Godfather offer for like Evan Mobley or someone like that. Because Cleveland was playing very well without him. Maybe they want to move on from him. Maybe they'll.
So you see guys
that's wishful thinking.
Yeah, that's good that you said that. You're starting to bring up some names. So you think a guy like Mobley is the next evolution? He could take Charlotte to the next level.
Oh, he definitely would. Cleveland won't trade him. Like that's just wishful thinking on my part because Cleveland was playing well without him. Same with Garland. They were playing well without Garland. But no, I don't know. I don't know who would be in the mix in the trade market at this stage. At this stage, like I would like for them to sign DeMar if they can't bring back Bridges, going after DeRozan, I think would be a big plus. Right. We would have LaMelo, Brandon Miller, DeRozan, Grant Williams, and Mark Williams as your starting 5, and then DeRozan being the veteran on the team. I want
to open up real quick to some questions. I got my man Jew in the building. Juju, what's the deal? We got Sam in the building. Know it's been a busy day. What's the deal?
What's good, man? What's going on with y'all?
Chilling, man. We're sitting there politicking, breaking down this news. If you've been listening, what's some of your thoughts on what's going on with Charlotte and some of the things that we've been breaking down?
I mean, I'm really impressed. Right now, it's basically shown that the Charlotte Hornets are in a different era. They've evolved. They're not the same as they were before. And actually, some news came out today that Mitch Kupchak didn't really have anything to do with the trades that happened at the deadline. It was actually the new people that came in. So that shows that these new people that are coming in are extremely competent. Now, looking at the people or the players that's actually coming to the roster, man, well, I've already kind of went over this, but I mean, getting back, 5 or 6 serviceable players is definitely worth giving up. Gordon Hayward, somebody that barely played, and he was kind of up and down when he did play, but I think we got that value back. And then PJ Washington, somebody that has upside, but he had his inconsistencies as well. And I think getting back Grant Williams definitely basically gives us the value that PJ gave us. And especially from a defensive perspective, I think Grant Williams is definitely a lot tougher than PJ is. PJ may be a little bit better offensively, especially a little bit more versatile. But as far as like from a team structure, I think Grant Williams is a more foundational, more fundamental building block, especially for a playoff team. And we've kind of seen that with some of the past teams that he's been on before. So I think Grant Williams is an excellent choice. Seth Curry, Trey Mann. I mean, I can't say anything negative about these guys. I mean, they got shooting, which was another really important aspect that they needed to spread the floor, make sure that LaMelo Ball has enough shooting talent to pass to, and obviously create a ton of open looks. So that's another plus as well. So yeah, and then we also got some draft compensation, which is also going to be a plus. So like literally every box that we could check off right now, they're literally checking off every single thing. Like young talent, check. Players that's going to fit the team infrastructure, check. Opening up cap space, check. Draft compensation, check. Like they're literally doing everything. So yes, this is literally, I don't want to say perfect, but I'm gonna have to give it an A plus. And what y'all were saying earlier, y'all are definitely spitting. I mean, this team is looking like they're on the up and ins.
I wish they did all this. I love it, man. I wish they did it sooner, man. I wish they're able to do it sooner. The season would have gone way differently. I love this team now.
Right. We gonna keep cooking. We ain't going nowhere. We got Sam Dracula. He got big business. His Charlotte Hornets. His phone is ringing like a telethon. He got a lot of business to handle. Sam, let everybody know where they can find you. Let everybody know what you got going on.
Yeah. I'm about to stream on my channel in a little bit. YouTube.com/Sam Dracula. I live stream during Hornets games. I make Hornets videos. And recently I've been doing live streams for the Bleacher Report app. So I did one earlier today. I think they're on demand. So if you go on to my Twitter @Sam Dracula, I did two this week. I'm gonna do another one next Friday, and then another one the Friday after that. Just talking Hornets live on the Bleacher Report app. So if you follow me on Twitter, you'll see I'll put out the link ahead of time so you can know and come hang out over there and talk some Hornets on the BR app. But yeah,
right.
That's it.
No, we're definitely gonna do that, man. We appreciate you, Sam. We're gonna do this again. The Charlotte Hornets, man, is wild.
Let's go Hornets, man. I'm here for this. I'm actually might go to this Grizzlies game tomorrow. Like I'm actually excited about this. I haven't been to a game yet because I like what.
So you going to the Grizzlies game?
Yeah, because we may win that. Like it's a winnable game.
Right. Yeah,
I think it's Gerald Wallace night too. It should be cool.
Yeah, this the Bucks in a few minutes. Who knows how it's gonna go?
And we're shorthanded. We're about to get beat down by the Bucks. Yeah, but it's fine. Yeah. It's fine.
But we appreciate you. We're gonna let you take care of your business, man.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Sam. Listen, we got my man Jew in the building. Listen, Juju, man, this shit is crazy. The Charlotte Hornets have completely cleaned house. James Bouknight waived. We was on BTW streams in real time when this happened. I'm just gonna keep it real. As soon as I seen the shit happen, I started to just start getting production ready and start getting video. As soon as I heard it, it was time to get talking. What's your thoughts on the guys like Ish Smith and these other guys before we get into some of the bigger names? What you think about the guys that was waived? It was 3 guys yesterday.
Yeah, Frank. I'm not gonna say his name, but Frankie. Right, Frankie. Let's just say Frankie, Ish Smith, and James Bouknight. What I see with those 3 guys is that really, if you evaluate the league, they don't really have much trade potential. And they don't really bring as much value as the players that you traded for. So it was inevitable that you were going to let those players go. I like Ish Smith as a person, but he was never going to be the backup point guard of this team. James Bouknight, we already, we had a lot of discussions about James Bouknight because particularly when he was drafted, that's around the same time LiAngelo Ball had his many opportunities to potentially be on this team. So we were looking at him. We're like, well, he's missing X, Y, and Z. He kind of sucks in the G League. He not sucks in the G League, but sucked in the summer league. He stunk up the summer league. He was okay in the G League, but he had a lot of holes and weaknesses that we could pick apart. And we eventually knew that he wasn't really good enough to be that backup point guard either. And then Frank, he's just not good. Like, what can we say? The Knicks let him go for a reason. He was known as a defensive stud before his injuries, but he's not really as good as he was anymore, and he still cannot shoot. So, all 3 of those players literally have no value to us and no value around the league. So, ultimately, we would have to let them go. But, yeah, they're trash. We kind of predicted this with James Bouknight.
No, listen, I was through with James Bouknight when it happened. I thought this was going to be a lot soon. I'm trying to figure out what the hell was he doing sitting on the bench, doing absolutely nothing. Do you think that I think he put himself on front street, in my opinion. When he started he was one of the focal points laughing. I don't know if you've seen that with the Knicks.
Yeah, I saw that.
But book night was real pivotal in that, and it was real horrifying to see him. I seen McGowan smirking, but it seemed like it was his ass leading that charge. And I'm talking about book night leading this laughable bullshit in the midst of a 20-point blowout and your coach getting ejected. It just was a horrible look. And I'm happy that he paid the piper for it. What do you think about that situation with book night?
I think he already knew it was over. I think he was laughing and he probably had like that fucking mentality that some people get when you know the door is closed, you know that this is your last opportunity and you're not going to get it because I mean, the people that are playing in front of you are just they're just ultimately better. Like it's not really an argument to be had that James Bouknight should get playing time over Bryce McGowan's, should get playing time over Ish Smith, even as bad as they are. He's just not that good. So, I mean, at this point in time, he's kind of already made mistakes as well, you know, off the court. So he has off the court issues. He's also from the, the past regimen. He's not a part of this or not regimen, but past regime. And, this current iteration of the front office is just not going to tolerate any bullshit. So, I mean, I think at that point it was already over. Like, that's kind of what happens. But,
Yeah.
yeah.
I want to bring up before we get to all access. I want to bring up your question I asked Sam. Do you think that LaMelo needed to get around some better pieces? Because you remember you heard Austin Rivers last year talk about the people that was around him. You got Book Night here. You got obviously some of these other people who wasn't dedicated. Don't you think now that they have surrounded Melo with guys that are really about basketball, really about winning, and serious veterans? What do you think about the people they are surrounding Melo with now? Because they have shook up the building.
Right. I mean, all of the players that they have brought in, I'm looking at them. They don't seem to really have any off the court issues, other than maybe Grant Williams seems to be a little bit out there on the court,
I
but he
saw
doesn't
that.
seem to have any off the court issues. So from what I'm seeing, they're not really bringing any toxicity to the roster. They seem to be all about basketball. You don't really hear a lot out of these players as it pertains to negativity. So what I'm looking at is it seems like they're just cleaning the slate, bringing in young, fresh, new talent with a new mindset, and like you said, veterans who's been in the playoffs. Grant Williams, obviously, Seth Curry. So now all we need is really a coach to really fill in that gap. And then, I mean, this team is. I think next year this team is primed to be in a playoff position. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And that the guys just landed too in Charlotte. They put out something. Bertans, Trey Man. They all have. They've landed in Charlotte. They're getting their physicals right now as we speak. So I just want to let everybody know that Charlotte just posted some stuff. So the new guys are back. We got my man All Access in the building. Dex, what's the deal? It's Flight Sports. It's been a busy day. We live. Yeah. Your mic is on mute, or your audio is messed up. Well, we'll probably get back to you. Y'all can hear me, right?
Yeah, we can hear your flight.
And that wasn't me. Okay. We got Big Al in the building. Shout out to all y'all that's rolling in the chat right now. It's been a crazy situation. What's your thoughts on what Juju was just talking about? Big Al's Flight Sports.
Yeah, man, I'm loving this flight. I'm loving the moves. I'm finally making moves. We got somebody that or players that we can build up on. Trey Man, I like that move. Seth Curry, he's not a building block, but he can help Lamelo matriculate. We got I think Missick. He's a European player.
Yeah, I want to speak about him because I'm getting more and more. I'm doing some homework on that kid. He got some talent. Juju, you know about that dude?
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of did a bit of research on him, nothing too in depthly, but what I could gather, he seems to be one of those, Ricky Rubio types. I forgot what's the guy's name. He played for the Nuggets that LaMelo Ball was beefing with on the court that one time. He was talking shit to him. I'm forgetting the dude's name, but he's like from Europe, the little short dude. He used to play for the Nuggets, but he seems to be one of those guys that's a really good creator at the point guard position. good passer, very unselfish, and he's one of those tough European guards. So I think defensively he's gonna kind of be like Grant Williams in a sense where he brings that kind of like tough mentality that the Charlotte Hornets have been missing for how, Lord knows how long. So I mean, I think that's going to be a plus, but I don't think he's going to be the main guy that comes off the bench. I think it's probably going to be Trey Mann. But yeah, I think he's going to be a pretty valuable piece off the bench for sure.
Yeah.
Is my mic back on, Flight? Can you hear me
Yeah,
now?
yeah, you good now. What's the deal, Dex?
Yeah, well, shout out to you, Flight, for powering the stream, and big ups to Sam Dracula for his illustrious take and presentation about the Charlotte Hornets' new, reinvigorated, and renovated roster and the organization that seemed to be filled with joy and happy that they got rid of the elephant in the room, which was those lump sum contracts that seemed to be lumbersome upon the Charlotte Hornets acquiring new and fresh talent like they did. So I'm saying Mitch Kupchak did a home run. He hit a home run, Flight. I know we haven't seen them play one game together. We don't know what the chemistry is like. But for Mitch Kupchak, the once executive of the year, multiple championships as a player and executive, with two different aspects of the Los Angeles Lakers, the Jerry West aspect and the Phil Jackson aspect of the Los Angeles Lakers. When you get Mitch Kupchak to really bite down and focus on being that executive, this is the results you get. And it just seemed so astonishing that in one season, basically half a season, he got rid of the situations that hampered the Charlotte Hornets for the last 3 years. So I'm giving Mitch Kupchak, Rick Schnall, Gabe Plockton a big thumbs up for getting from up under the carpet of the old regime and bringing in new, fresh blue blood to help the Charlotte Hornets and uptown North Kakalaki move forward in competitive play. And I also want to acknowledge that Mitch Kupchak said that he wants community guys. See, that's one thing about Charlotte, the Queen City. The players, this is what got Cam Newton in trouble. Because Cam Newton, to some degree, removed himself from the community. And so when you got players like LaMelo Ball constantly rolling around in the community, waving at fans, taking random pictures and saying hi, that's the kind of player that they want leading the organization moving forward. And they want other players around LaMelo to have the same sentiment and foregoing about themselves being included in the community. Because if you can remember, Flight, LaMelo Ball used to do so much for the community, and all of a sudden we didn't see much of it. It kind of like dissipated. And I don't know if he lost some kind of joy for that based on some of the players and the players' antics who were part of the team that's not a part of the team anymore. You know what I'm saying? And now he gets some homers. Grant Williams, he gets Seth Curry. These are homers, Flight. These are North Kakalaki very own Charlotte Uptown. You know they're going to have some nice community development. The arena's going to be redeveloped, and the practice facility, everything is becoming new. I'm excited about the Charlotte Hornets right now. And they haven't dribbled the ball not one time since this blockbuster move that have befallen on the Charlotte Hornets and the fan base. I know some aspect of the fan base might be a little confused, especially with the departure of Gordon Hayward. I understand that nature. They wanted someone to cheer for to look like them. But hey, you're going to get it. Somebody's coming that's looking like you that you're going to be able to cheer for, but going to have sustainability on the court. And this Charlotte Hornet team can be very well balanced, especially trying to appease the demographics that the various demographics that cheer for Buzz City.
Right. No, I totally agree with that, man. I definitely hear your energy. You talking about feel refreshed about Charlotte. It's something new, So now let's see what it looks like on the floor. Juju, what you think about what Dex was saying?
Yeah, I think he was saying a lot of good things. I think he said it best. It's refreshing. It's like a new air, fresh air. It's just something that is going to kind of rejuvenate the fan base in a sense. And I think here this is going to be the turning point for Charlotte. This is going to be, I think the next part of this season. I think they're going to play exceptionally well, especially when LaMelo Ball comes back. And I think they're just proving to this fan base that they actually want to win, which is the main thing that we wanted to see. Because we were losing hope at some point. Like we were like, God damn, like it's Smith again, Steve Clifford again. Like, dang, man, we need something different. So I'm glad they're actually, going that path. And yeah, I think Dex was saying a lot of good things. I wholly agree.
Yeah, me too. What do you think about Brandon Miller and his development with all of this? What do these moves do for Brandon Miller? We know Melo is the focal point. How does these moves help him unlock his game?
I mean, I kind of mentioned it earlier, but a lot of these guys can knock down a three. I mean, Grant Williams is about a 37 and above 3-point percentage shooter. Same with Seth Curry. Trey Man is at his ups and downs, but he certainly can knock down a three ball as well. Defenses are definitely going to have to, account for him. So I think a lot of these guys, as well as the other guy, I think David Bertans is also a pretty decent 3-point percentage shooter. So a lot of these guys are going to space the floor for Brandon Miller. So now he's going to have a lot more opportunity to create his own shot, drive to the basket and get those highlight finishes. And I think it's just going to open up his game even more. He's going to have a lot more scoring opportunities. And I think I'm pretty sure he's at about 16 points a game. I think he's probably going to finish somewhere around 18 to 20 points a game. And especially when LaMelo Ball comes back, because he's just going to feed him more and more opportunities, let him get hot, let him get cooking. So in this situation now, I think he has literally the most perfect opportunity to shine. And the perfect thing is, right, he doesn't have to take a backseat to anybody. Going into the season, it was kind of, very ambiguous as to what Brandon Miller's role would be on the team. Would it be, being the fourth option, fifth option? Obviously, you had Terry Rozier, Gordon Hayward. You had multiple guys in front of him. Now he's a part of the big three. He's going to be a number 2, 3, sometimes even the first option, as it pertains to scoring. So I think now, since he has, more of a scoring load and even better teammates to open up the floor for him, I think he's just going to shine even better. So watch out for Brandon Miller to finish around 20 points a game this season. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure next year he's gonna go for the kill switch. Do you think he's starting to go into that role of Paul George? Obviously, we know that's a stretch, but do you see he's starting to validate like he's gonna be one of those players?
It's definitely not a stretch. I'm pretty sure, like, when I came up on here and we were talking about it during those like Scoot versus Brandon Miller debates, I think I brought up like Paul George and Jason Tatum and Brandon Ingram. And I'm not saying he's going to be as good as those players, but he has that archetype. So yes, I actually do expect him to be sort of the lines of like a Brandon or Paul George. I'm sorry. People kind of compare him to like Chris Middleton. But I think with this size and athleticism, like he's way more bouncier, more energetic than, Chris Middleton. I think he's closer to Paul George than Chris Middleton. That's just my opinion. But yeah, I mean, the comparisons are there. The opportunity is there. And I think he's going to shine. So yeah, Brandon Miller's that guy. I'm telling y'all. I've been saying it, right? Been saying it for months.
Right. Did anybody get sad to see any of these guys go? Like PJ going. Nobody gonna miss PJ.
No,
Come on, Big
No.
Al, admit it.
no, I ain't missing PJ, man. I'm happy to have Grant Williams, though. I was afraid that if they got rid of PJ, they wouldn't get something in return of significance. But with Grant Williams and their first round pick and Seth, I think that's more than enough. So almost like they fleeced the Mavericks. So yeah, I'm not gonna miss. I'm not gonna miss PJ. I'm good.
Yeah, he brought too much trouble. I think that's kind of what Austin Rivers was alluding to with, these kind of outside things, that these outside problems, with and I don't want to get into like his private life or his situation with his females or whatever, but we've seen some situations off the court with those things. So, I think it was kind of good getting PJ away, and certainly Gordon Hayward, like bye, bro. Like, geez, man. See you later. Bro, if he would have called me as an Uber, bro, I would have picked him up and dropped him off at the airport, bro. Like, I'm that serious. I was ready to see Gordon Hayward go. But yeah.
Right.
I'm just excited because the ownership saw what most of us see, and they acted upon it. Whereas in the old times, it was just, who cares what y'all think? I'm this guy. I'm a legend. I'm a root icon. So I'm gonna do it the way I want. If you watch. If not, cool. Because I'm laughing all the way to the bank. With this new ownership group, you're not having that kind of spirit. They really want to win. They want a product that they're proud of and they can brag about, that they sat on a pile and shaped it and formed it into a winning kind of culture. And this is the type of basketball that we want to see from the Charlotte Hornets, because let's keep it a buck. Charlotte is a beautiful city. It's another beautiful black city that a lot of people don't talk about. It's the sister to Atlanta. And we want good things to come out of it. We don't want it to be a sore eye and then have someone that look like us is responsible for it to be a sore eye. You know what I'm saying? So good riddance to all those players that left. You had an opportunity to make something happen of Charlotte. And that thumb bucket as Terry Rozier go sit there and have the mitigated galls to say Charlotte is just a losing atmosphere. They're used to losing. Well, God darn it, Terry Rozier, for crying out loud. Remember, you was T-Row. You was Scary Terry down there. So how much did you contribute to that losing atmosphere on and off the court? And I know secrets.
I mean, good call, man. As well. What do you think about these pieces? How they're gonna affect Brandon Miller, Dax?
Well, like, to be honest with you, Brandon Miller has a type of game that is so smooth and silky. He can soar above the fray. And regardless of what kind of pieces that's out there with Brandon Miller, I think he can. Achieve and swell and thrive. Now, what makes this a little different is that these pieces that's going to be around Brandon Miller is more focused on the business aspect of it. They know how to play professional basketball, where those other guys just was playing basketball without the profession. You know what I'm saying? So the Williams, the Curry, the Man, and all the other new acquisitions that Charlotte just garnered, they know their positions, they know their role, they know how to stay in their lane and not disrupt anything. So when LaMelo comes back to curate that offense, Brandon Miller is going to have some of the most easiest buckets in the world. The only thing that was hampering to some degree Brandon Miller was Miles Bridges. But now Miles Bridges' path to continue his career is much clearer now. So he don't have to get out there and hustle and bustle and try to prove a point. You follow what I'm saying? When the trade deadline came for Miles Bridges, he appropriately propitiated within the Charlotte Hornets organization to remain as a cornerstone moving forward with the partnership of LaMelo Ball, and maybe bring back that type of seat raising excitement with Airbnb, something that the Charlotte Hornets has been missing. So now his pathway is clear. Maybe he resigned. Most likely that's what it looks like, according to Mitch Kupchak. They're going to resign him. You know what I mean? They drafted him. They talked about the chronological history of Miles Bridges in the Charlotte Hornets uniform, and they don't want that to fall by the wayside. So now his pathway is clear. He can play smooth. He don't have to be anxious, and he don't have to feel that he's constantly at war with his teammates to try to gain leverage in a new contract discussion coming this summer. So Brandon Miller is good right now. A lot of the dead weight is out of his way. Brandon Miller's going to thrive. LaMelo's going to thrive. Miles Bridges is going to come in and accept what Miles Bridges can bring to the team moving forward. The Charlotte Hornets should be a good mid-playoff team contender and a hard out in the playoff next season.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see, man. It's gonna be wild. What's next for the Charlotte Hornets, y'all? I heard a lot of people talk about Mitch Kupchak might be hanging out for another year or two. Juju, I thought he was on his way out the door. Does he done bought himself another year?
It depends, because I was reading a report earlier that said Mitch Kupchak didn't have much to do with most of the trades that happened at the trade deadline. So I might have to pull that up and relook at that. But I was under a different perspective here. If that was the case, then I probably would say he's at the door. But if it is the case that he actually had a huge hand in the trades that were made, and we see a slight turnaround in this team, then I think, it's definitely potential for Mitch Kupchak to still be on this team. Ideally, I think you probably would want to let him go, because he's been one of the foundational, I would say foundational pieces for why this team hasn't shown any significant growth. Like, he's been the one making decisions. He's the one that's been putting this roster together. So if he has the responsibility, and the whole point of bringing in this new front office is to, basically clean the slate, purify what you have and try to cleanse it, like we said earlier, refresh, so if they want to do that, refreshing means getting out the old pieces that you had in, and that also involves Mitch Kupchak. So if we're operating even under that, framework, then I still think Mitch Kupchak would probably be on the way out, unless this team just has a big turnaround, which, I mean, I don't see. Like, I don't think they're going to be play-in worthy, but yeah, I think Mitch Kupchak is going to be out of there. Not going to lie.
I think Mitch Kupchak remains, and they're going to give him an option to either stay at the GM position or remain in the organization as the president of basketball operation, because Michael gave him two hats to wear, even though he got one head, because I believe Michael Jordan is a mindset. You know what I'm saying? So he was paying Mitch for one aspect of capacity, but yet wanted him to do two as a favor, because they're Tar Heel alumni. You know what I'm saying? Just a North Carolina. So Mitch went on and done it, because Mitch was about ready to lay in the pasture for a retirement, and Michael asked him to come on to take over from Troy. So Mitch probably wasn't as enthused to some degree during his tenure as the Charlotte Hornet GM, but now it sounds like Mitch is very much enthused. And he talked about how the energy level has increased tremendously when it comes to reconstruction and reinvigorating the roster. So I think this is what Mitch enjoys. He loves moving his pieces on the board, whether it's checker or chess. I don't know what Mitch is playing right now. It's hard to tell. But according to Mitch, it looks like he has spoken his way back into another year with the Charlotte Hornets, but maybe not in the GM capacity this time. I think they're going to lighten the burden of Mitch and just let him remain as the president of basketball operation, but then they will open up the GM slot for some new, fresh blood and new ideas to move the roster and the team forward.
Yeah,
Hey,
I agree with that.
Flight. Let me reiterate or try to put more detail on what Dex was saying. Yeah, so I believe the same thing Dex is saying. Mitch, and I've said this several times on the panel, Mitch will probably be put in a second role where he's not the GM, but because of his experience because he's done well with the draft. Let's be honest, he's done pretty good. I mean, he hadn't been perfect, but he's
Other than
made
the book night draft.
he's made really good moves though. Other than Book Night, you got that. But for years though, this team has had terrible drafts, and finally when Mitch came on board, we finally made good moves as far as the drafts. The only thing he's really been missing is free agency, in my opinion. And then the whole coaching situation, we're not sure why the coaching situation ended up like it was with Clifford. That might have been like Dex was mentioning, a money thing where they just were cheap. Because what I heard was they didn't want to give the money that I guess Kenny Atkinson or give the coaches to Kenny Atkinson he asked for. So I believe that was money related. So Mitch has done well, in my opinion, when it comes to the draft. And I would be happy to see him like take a back seat GM wise, like Dex was saying, but we get a young GM for I guess free agency, contracts, stuff like that. But he's a good advisor for the draft because he's done well, in my opinion, for the draft. Brandon, Miles, we can be honest, say PJ, Mark Williams. I mean, it's been a lot of guys at this point that have become mainstays for this team. So, I mean, yeah, I believe that's the next move for Mitch, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. That's kind of what I was trying to illustrate earlier. Is I don't think he'll necessarily be in that position. As far as advising, as far as being a secondary, maybe a supplementary role, that would be much more beneficial. But as far as kind of having like this leadership position, I think that's done. And I think that's what the evidence points to as well. Because I'm looking at the reports. Yeah, so the report is that, oh, sorry about that. Got a call. But the reports is that basically the new front office, new ownership, Rick Schnall, they basically were taking the leadership role in making the trades that happened on the trade deadline. Mitch Kupchak, I don't know how huge his hand was in the mix, but it seems like, again, he's going to be more of a secondary role. So I definitely agree with that. He probably will still be on the Charlotte Hornets, but yeah, not as the GM for sure.
Yeah, I think Mitch Kupchak's role was very vital because he's the numbers guy. He know how to crunch the numbers and get everything into perspective. So what I said the other day, I don't know if he was on listen to the stream, how vital Rich Schnall was to put his imprint on this Charlotte Hornet team as a new owner. It was tired of the same rigmarole. Michael Jordan, he wasn't even being available. Michael Jordan's in Monaco. He's traveling the world on his yacht with his beautiful snow bunny. So it's like, listen, the guy's not in the building, okay? Let's get this thing going and let's get this thing moving forward. You feel me? And so Mitty was very excited about moving his chess pieces across the board. And so they said, Mitty, this is what we want. Can this get done? Can we do it? And Mitch said, let me get to work. So they met for like a week in a room. And they did some brainstorming, you know what I'm saying? And they came up with the conclusion that what we're seeing now as the results. Get rid of this, get rid of that, move this, let's get this, and let's move forward with the Charlotte Hornets. And like I said, it's very remarkable, to some degree astonishing, that he was able to move Terry Rozier, Gordon Hayward in the same calendar year in a half a season. That's not easy. Moving that much money around. $52 million or $54 million with a trade kicker. You know what I'm saying? So Mitty had to have some major input as far as crunching the numbers and collaborating with other GMs and front offices to get the type of pieces that would make Charlotte Hornets a valuable commodity moving forward, not only just for the aesthetics of basketball, but even the spirit of competition.
So what about Stevie Clifford? What's up with him? We talked about Mitch. So, or do they coincide, Dex? Or
this is what I believe. Now, this is only speculation. No, there's no type of information, you know what I'm saying, that support this. but just only speculation based on my observation. I think Cliffy gets another year because Cliffy done endured a lot of bullshit with that old regime. He stepped in, he saved them. Mike asked him, "Come on, man, do me a solid." They did it based on the relationship that Cliffy have with Mike and Mitch Kupchak and Bud Peterson. Don't forget Bud in this as well, because a lot of people don't mention Bud, but Bud is very influential within the Charlotte organization. So at the 11:50 hour, Cliffy accepted a job for the Charlotte Hornets where it was going to look very deplorable that a Michael Jordan ran organization cannot get a coach. He got reneged on by Kenny Atkinson, as Big Al alluded to earlier, because he didn't want to pay for a new coaching staff. He said, "Nah, keep the coaching staff that's here." I'm talking about coaching staff, trainers, all the stuff that didn't do well for Charlotte with all of the injuries that have piled up on this roster year in and year out since 2020. So Kenny Atkinson said, "I'm out of here, man. This is a sham. I'm not going to take this and ruin my reputation." So Mitch Kupchak, the very man who fired Cliffy, upon taking the GM job, saying, "No, Cliffy, you're not good enough. We need something new. We're going with James Borrego, the first Hispanic American to coach, be a head coach of a professional basketball team in the NBA. We're going with that. You're not good enough, Cliffy." And then Cliffy turn around and do him a solid and say, "You know what? I'm going to swallow my pride. I'm a white guy. I'm a Southern. I'm going to swallow my pride. And I'm going to go ahead and help you and Mike out." Because he got the phone call from Mike and he answered it. And this is what happened. And Mitch signed on the dotted line to hire him as the head coach, even though Mitch was the one that fired him. So I think Mitch and his appreciation to bail out the PR nightmare of the Charlotte Hornets from Kenny Atkinson ducking out on his deal and somewhat sullied his name amongst around the NBA. You know what I'm saying? For doing that, because that is that works on the honor. That a handshake is good enough amongst these billionaires, right? So that honor system was broken when he reneged and went back to Golden State. And Cliffy came in and at the 11:50 hour to save face for the Charlotte Hornets right after the draft. And like I said, everything was inherited to him. He did the best. They was injury riddled the first season Cliffy got there. I think he had the most starting five lineup change in NBA that season. And now he come into the second season and look, facing injury again with the same training staff that Kenny Atkinson wanted to change. You're getting all these multiple injuries of key players, and now there's been a clean wipeout. And now Cliffy should get. I mean, if you're going to be honorable, Cliffy should get a real opportunity to coach a team that is valuable when it comes to the spirit of competition.
No, I'm totally there with you, man. You're absolutely right, but we're gonna find out. I hope Steve Clifford can last because it's not his fault. We're gonna find out. What do you think about some of this talent, Dex? Who do you think is gonna be a sleeper?
Well, I like Trey Mann. I think this is a redeemable moment for him after he fell out of grace with OKC. I don't know if it was between him and Shea Gilchrist Alexander or Josh Giddey. Something somewhere in that transition that made Trey Mann fall out of grace with the Oklahoma City Thunder, Mike Donnan, the coach of the Oklahoma City Thunder. I don't know what it was, but this guy is a talented guy. He's very underrated, and I feel that this is his second chance at a first opportunity with the Charlotte Hornets. Somewhat like the Dennis Smith Jr. year when they plugged him from out of the middle of nowhere, and he made a name for himself and garnered him a multi-year deal with another team, even though he got traded again. But nevertheless, he's still under contract somewhere. And I think this could be another situation for Trey to reinvigorate his career and garner some interest. And maybe Charlotte can hire him for multiple years to come, because they got him for 2 years for sure. Come on, man. What's this motherfucker doing?
I want to bring something up. Did anybody see LaMelo Ball wish any of these guys good luck or say goodbye or anything?
To T-Row, that's the only one I know he did for T-Row. I'm not sure about PJ.
Word, ain't not nobody. I'm scouring through the so he ain't right shit.
Yeah, LaMelo wrote something for Terry Rozier on his departure.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out why he had no love for these dudes. Let's give it some time, because I was looking through Melo's story. He posted something on LaFrance, but we ain't had no goodbyes, no likes, or no posts or nothing. So it's interesting to see. Did he okay the PJ move? How much say did he really have? At the end of the day, these guys had to go. This core had to get broken up. Are the Charlotte Hornets going through a soft rebuild? Do you think? What you think about what's going on right now?
You might as well say so, because look at the roster. All the key pieces, like 60, I think it was 67% of the Charlotte Hornets production is gone. Terry Rozier, Gordon Hayward, PJ Washington, they're all gone. And those were a vital and instrumental clog in that wheel. And now they're on various teams trying to do what they do. And Charlotte Hornet brought in or garnered new, fresh, aggregated talent to secure those missing gaps that the departing players left. So for the Charlotte Hornets, it might be a soft rebuild. But guess what? I think it's a nice rebuild, because these players are going to be more focused on what's on the court and then what's off the court.
Yeah, you're right about that. I definitely like some of the other pieces that they got. What do you think about Seth Curry? And the relationship with his father, Dell. Do you think that that's going to be bigger than what people expect?
Now, with Seth Curry, Flight, it's interesting how his dad was very instrumental in securing Steph Curry as a kind of inclination that he will be available, and Dell Curry relayed that to Mitch Kupchak. And when he relayed that to Mitch Kupchak, it was like, oh, wow. It was an eye-opener. So Mitch Kupchak didn't discover that. That was an inside job from Seth Curry to his dad, Dell Curry, saying he would be available. And Mitch Kupchak didn't know if he could secure Seth Curry, the son of Dell. And he did. And so in that respect right there, it shows you that Mitch will get on the job when he knows there's a grand opportunity for an auspicious situation. And guess what? Now Seth Curry is a Charlotte Hornet, a son of Charlotte, son of Dale, right there in Uptown in Buzz City, a place that he talked about before in the past that, he wouldn't mind being there. I think he said it in 2020 or 2021 that he would have loved to be there. When he got traded to the Brooklyn Nets. I think was it the Brooklyn Nets or I think he got traded to the Brooklyn Nets with the James Harden situation. He spoke about how delightful he would to be playing alongside the young talent in Charlotte. But we already know who that was. That was LaMelo Ball.
LaMelo Ball what?
What you mean LaMelo Ball was?
I didn't hear the last part that you said.
I was connecting the Seth Curry to LaMelo Ball when Seth Curry was available, I think a few years ago, with the James Harden situation, getting traded to Brooklyn. Remember, he was sitting over there in Philly, and then the trade for James Harden sent him in what's his name, Ben Simmons and all those dudes over to Brooklyn. So he had spoke about it'll be a delight to play in Charlotte. You know what I'm saying? Because he didn't know where he was going to go. He just knew he was going to be leaving Philly based on James Harden. You know, it was going to be a 3-team trade or straight across. It was happening to be straight across. But like I said, when he said it was a delight basically to play in Charlotte, I don't think he was just talking about his dad. See his dad in the summer, or he can talk to his dad on the telephone like he did prior to getting picked up by Charlotte. I think it was because of LaMelo. So that's what I was correlating when you talk about the young talent over at Charlotte Hornets. It had to be LaMelo at that particular time.
Yeah, I'm with you there, Dax. What do you think the young talent is now? You know, what is going on with Amari Bailey? He's in the G League. Don't you think it's time to bring him up? You know,
I'm not really worried. You know what, Flight? I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. I'm not even worried about that young talent. The JT Thors of the world, the Bryce McGowans of the world. I'm not worried about it.
Survive.
You know what I'm saying? The Nick Smith Jr. Listen, Charlotte got to start winning. And that developmental stage bullshit is over with. People is not buying that anymore. Oh, we developing young talent. We got to build out the draft. That's that old talk from the old regime. The new regime said, listen, we looking right in our face at Oklahoma City Thunder. We looking right in our face at the Minnesota Timberwolves. We looking right in our face at the Houston Rockets. We looking right in our face at the Indiana Pacers. We looking right in our face at the Cleveland Cavaliers. And do I need to remind you where the hell is the Orlando Magic sitting at right now? Do I need to remind you about that? So those teams can build. Why not Charlotte? And this is what the new ownership is about right now. We're looking at it. Don't feed the fan base that bullshit because they're not going to buy it. That's over with. You know what I'm saying? They ain't got the GOAT at the helm of the organization. This is Rick Snall, Gabe Plockton, and a few others, Cole, and a few others. There's no GOAT. There's no iconic figure that you can look upon and worship as a shrine and take everything that he say literally and take it as the Bible, a conical. You know what I'm saying? You gotta understand how people see Michael Jordan, man. Michael Jeffrey Jordan. You gotta understand what it is to have that image around you after witnessing what he have done and how he have turned the NBA into a multi-$100 billion conglomerate. Think about that, right? Magic Johnson, Larry Bird opened the door for the financial explosion, right? Michael Jordan just took it to another stratosphere. And then Kobe, LeBron, and company, you know, they maintained it. And LeBron did a little extra after Kobe left, but mostly they maintained it. They ain't taking no further than what Mike did for the exponential point from a Magic to a Michael. You know what I'm saying? So you got to understand what this means. So now that has been removed because Michael Jordan is not the majority owner anymore. So that kind of worship has been removed. That kind of adulation has been removed. That kind of awe-inspiring, iconic in the presence of has been removed because Rick Snall and Gabe Plunkton, yes, they might have some chips, they might have some bread, they might have some cheese, they might have some cake, or whatever you want to call it. They might have that, but they don't have the lore of a Michael Jeffrey Jordan. They don't have that, man. The average person ain't seen these people dribble a basketball or do anything spectacular. So it's a different time. It's a different dispensation in the absence of Michael Jordan. And this is why these people got to move like the rest of the owners move. They got to make moves in order for the fan base to stay attached and stay focused on continuously to buy tickets, continuously support the Charlotte Hornet organization in any way, shape, or fashion, the foundations of the organization, though even sponsorship. You got to remember it's a sponsorship. Who wouldn't want to deal with Michael Jordan's sponsorship? I'm crying. Listen, Bank of America. It's not in New York. It's not in California. It's not in Chicago. It's not in Houston. It's not even in Detroit. Bank of America is in Charlotte. Bank of America. It's in Charlotte. Who wouldn't want to do business with Michael Jeffrey Jordan? You understand what I'm saying? So since he's not there as a component, you know, he's not even representing the team as a statesman. Michael's done. Michael's living his life. It's over with. Y'all can have that. So they gotta make moves to improve. It's a must. So they doing it not just out of necessity, but out of the spirit of being an owner, because they don't have a legacy. Rick Snall, Gabe Plunkton, they don't have no legacy. They might have some financial legacy in the business world that we might not know about. I don't know, because they do got bread, but they don't have a legacy. When you say Michael Jordan, an eye opens up, maybe two, an ear gets increased as your pupils dilate when you hear the name Michael Jordan. And there's only so many people that have ever graced the face of this earth can do that and bring a reaction out of people just on name alone. Michael Jordan, Moses, Abraham, Muhammad, Jesus. You feel me? Maybe Farrakhan.
So you put Jordan in that round.
Yeah, because in the sports aspect, yes, he's that. He's that and some. He's a god. If you want me to put it out there like that. And I'm not talking polytheist. Michael Jordan is a basketball god. Larry Bird said it first and acknowledged it. So if you're not him or anybody that's like him, then you got to get busy in moving these chips around to make your team relevant so you could have a legacy in the basketball.
Yeah.
That's why these moves are very significant and imminent. Like,
How significant are these moves?
these moves that they just made is very significant, because look what they got. They plugged up needs, right? It was a glaring thing, right? That needed attention immediately, and they was able to plug up this gaping, obvious holes that the Charlotte Hornets was dealing with in one calendar season and a half. I mean, excuse me, not one calendar season, a half of a calendar season. They was able to do it, where they had 4 years and they didn't do it. So that's why this is such a magnificent feat for the front office of the Charlotte Hornets to be able to dump those contracts. Listen, they got rid of Gordon Hayward, who has not been healthy since he's been a Charlotte Hornet. And he's got a $30 million tag plus I think a 10 or 15% kicker on a trade. And somebody took it. That's why I said no contract is dead in the NBA. Any contract can be moved. We saw that with Russell Westbrook last season. Everybody said, oh, Lakers got to die with that contract. No, he was moved. You follow what I'm saying? So if there's a will, there's a way. So now Terry Rozier, that was kind of easy. You know, it didn't take much. All it did take was an effort to say, you know what, this is the end of the road for Terry Rozier and Charlotte Hornets. And you know you could get something for Terry Rozier because Terry Rozier's an active player. You know, he got some active to his bag. But a Gordon Hayward, even a PJ Washington to some degree, because PJ Washington was on the market all summer and there was no takers. At least no significant takers or no serious takers. And so he had to come back to Charlotte and re-up. You know what I'm saying? And that same player And PJ Washington, now he is on a playoff contending team and playing with some of the best in the business. Where in the summer nobody wanted. Well, what made him different now? Because he hasn't done anything of significance this year. He done more last year than he have this year. What won him now? Because the Charlotte Hornets signed him to a fairly palatable contract. That's I'm gonna use that palatable contract, and that made him very much attractive. So yeah, these moves this season is remarkable to me. I mean, I've been watching basketball. I've seen so many off seasons and acquisitions during my since '78, I believe. I think since '78 when I started watching basketball because of Michael Cooper. This is a remarkable thing to get off that much money in that little time. So it just shows the old organization was on some bullshit. That's all. That's all it was. It was just on some bullshit.
Yeah, man, it's definitely some bullshit, man. I'm gonna keep it all the way real with you, but I like what the Charlotte Hornets have done. They've made moves. This is the most activity that I've seen from the Charlotte Hornets throughout my tenure of covering this squad. You know, so I was definitely delighted to see. What I do want to highlight is because I've asked the guys the question earlier: who is anybody sad to see anybody go? You know, this feeling that I have right now is almost like when Lonzo ended up departing from the Pelicans. Obviously, most of his guys came with him. You have Ingram, Hart. You know, these guys seem like they were synonymous with Lonzo. You know, the same thing with Melo. You can't think PJ and not think of Melo, and vice versa. You start to. So I mean, fortunately, it's like we watch these guys grow as well. You know, so I mean, as much as we've been watching Melo, we've been watching PJ. You understand? We've been watching these dudes develop into who they become now. We've seen the evolution of Terry, you know, where he left Boston, coming to Charlotte. They move on, and Melo comes. We've seen the evolution of the embrace. It seemed like it was going to be some friction. It was no friction. It ended up being one of his better teammates. You know, Dex pointed out that Terry was the only one who received any love from his departure. So that's something that I've been almost wanting to crucify some of these guys, but I started to get a little like, damn, I hope PJ do well out there in Dallas. You know, that's why I started thinking like that. Like, damn, I hope these dudes do a little something. You know, I hope Gordon Hayward do. I started thinking about the things that he could be for Oklahoma City. I think Gordon Hayward could be big for OKC. You know, because they never asked him to do much.
I don't think
a little too far.
Flight, I'm sorry, Flight. I have to interrupt because I think you're going off the rails when you speak about Gordon Hayward doing something for OKC. Gordon Hayward is an injured, battered player. And OKC is some Thundercats. It's no mistake why the Oklahoma City Thundercats are in second in the Western Conference, and they have been there practically all season long. So there's a mainstay. There is a sense of sustainability in their play. And how do they play? They run up and down the fucking court. They're gazelles. They're track stars. And then you got, when they're slowed down, you got two people that can score in the half court with ease. So what Gordon Hayward can offer the Oklahoma City Thunder, I don't. And you know what? And they probably said the same thing. We know that Presley over there at OKC just love to grab stuff. And I just think it'll be a cash stuff because Gordon Hayward is going to roll off the books. He might even get bought out. You know what I'm saying? And old Sammy over there, is licking his chops at a freaking potential $30 million cap increase with the Gordon Hayward situation. Because Oklahoma City, they're not paying nobody right now. They got a bunch of players that are good, but they're young. You know, I know Shea gets the bulk of the cap, but the other players ain't getting no whole bunch of nothing. 2, 3-year players, 5-year players. You know what I'm saying? They're not getting a whole bunch of nothing. So Sammy over there is a financial wizard when it comes to the commodity of the Oklahoma City Thunder. So Gordon Hayward presence there, he's just going to be there until Sam finds a way to move him around or to waive him or have him get bought out in the buyout. You know what I'm saying? So some of that money can go back to the cap of the Oklahoma City Thunder. And they can still continue on making moves and developing their team and maximize, you know, their commodity. You know what I'm saying, Flight? So that I don't believe that. And for PJ Washington, in my closing, PJ Washington have a psychological problem right now because he's not with LaMelo and Terry Rozier, two fun, caring, or carefree guys. You know what I'm saying? Let's just all be cool. Don't even trip. You know what I mean? We ain't here to battle each other. You know, openly we're not, but behind the scenes, I'm stabbing the back. But that's just play. No, you're going into a field in space that harvests Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic, two pestilence in the NBA on the same team. Kyrie is a little more mercurial than Luka, of course, but PJ is he's gonna wake up to a rude awakening playing with these two juggernauts in Dallas. You know what I'm saying? It ain't no, oh yeah, my bad, I fucked up on that play. I just dribbled it off my knee. Yeah, my bad. No, it's gonna be like, hey man, what the hell you doing? You wasting possessions. You know what I'm saying? We're trying to get to the Western Conference Finals. I mean, championship game, and you wasting possessions. Every dribble is calculated, and every possession is prized on those kind of teams. And he's going to have a rude awakening. So he's going to have to get his psyche up to play at the level that he's playing at. Because you see, Terry Rozier had a little rough time making his adjustment to that kind of a regiment over there in Miami. Because every dribble is calculated and every possession is prized. You cannot be out here wasting anything. If your name ain't Bam Adebayo or Jimmy Buckets, no. Even Tyler Hero don't have that strength. You will get snatched out, put on the bench quick with Eric Spoelstra because he knows what it takes to win championships. And he have coached Hall of Famers, 3 Hall of Famers at one time. So you can't, actually 4, like Shaq. So you can't get away with that kind of crap with the Eric Spoelstra their team. So they're going to have to be PJ got to be very careful. And we know how Jason Kidd is. Jason Kidd is a psychopath. We know this. Even Giannis couldn't take it. Even Darian Williams and Paul Pierce and Billy Badass Kevin Garnett had hard issues with J. Kidd at times. And those are championship-minded people. So PJ is in a world of a surprise if he thinks he can just go to Dallas and just parlay. His ass will be deep on that bench getting splendors off that pine. So you got to be careful. Like,
no, you definitely got to be careful. Sky says, man, you can't win playing with the Hornets. You know, I think they're going to be looking to change that. You know, what do you think about the Charlotte natives? You know, is Seth Curry from Charlotte? And also, I know Grant Williams is from Charlotte. Quickly, is Seth from Charlotte?
As far as I know of, yes, he was born in Charlotte. Him and his brother.
So what do you think about the homegrown talent? People who should have pride about coming to the city, you know, wanting to change shit. This is his father's organization, for crying out loud.
I think that is the impetus of bringing them to Charlotte. to change the culture. Like I said, I'm only just reiterating what Mitty was talking about. Community guys. That's what that means. Community guys, right? Who could be a better community guy than somebody from their town? A local hero, hometown hero, coming back. You know what I'm saying? The pride of Charlotte. So that community be like, you know what? We gave birth to you. You know what I'm saying? And now you're back playing for our organization. Can you get these youngsters back in line and get them focused on winning and let them know what the pride of Charlotte is all about? It's not about strip clubs and hanging out with Instagram models and just showing off your riches to a blue collar town. You know, that's not what Charlotte is all about. And that will get you in trouble. You can have all your riches, but don't try to, put it in our face and make us feel like we're peons. Because we're country boys, country girls, Southerners. Don't forget Charlotte Southern. It's south of Atlanta. I mean, south of Georgia. For crying out loud. You know what I'm saying? Even though it says North Carolina, they still south. They just north of South Carolina. But they south of Georgia. And how you can't get no more country than Georgia. Are you south of that? So their mindsets is a little different than, that the city slickster that some of us may be, or they look at us as. It's more family oriented. It's more of a homegrown love and appreciation for the town that you represent, whether it's the metropolitan area in Charlotte or outside of Charlotte, like the Greensboro, Greenville, and all those type of little towns outside of there, Gastonia, So you got to represent all that. And by Seth Curry and Grant Williams coming back into that atmosphere, it's a breath of fresh air, because these are two players that the charlatans know is about business. Basketball is not recreational. These players have been moved around a bit, especially Seth Curry. He's a professional journeyman. And he's going to have a heightened level of appreciation playing for his home team and being able to, be amongst his dad while doing it. Like,
Good call on that. It's gonna be interesting to see. Like you say, brought up his father. I just like that we got another sharpshooter, out there. I just can't wait till LaMelo's able to kick it out to these guys, and he has now reliable shooting on top of the shooter that Miller is turning into. Before you know it, they can be surrounded by some shooters. And I hate to say it, but Miles has been shooting a little too much, but I don't want to incorporate him as one of the shooters. But I like what's going on. I think, like I said, next year it could be potentially Melo penetrating. You got Miller, Bertans, Curry.
Oh yeah, my bad. Yeah, you above Georgia. My bad. I'm sorry about that. Florida, South. I got it mixed up. Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. But you below Tennessee, damn it. Put it that way. You below the Mason-Dixon line.
What the hell
Yeah, my bad. I didn't think I did that well in geography. But yeah, my bad, Big Al.
Big Al from Florida. He live in Florida?
No, Big Al from North Carolina.
Uh-huh.
But I made a mistake saying that North Carolina was below Georgia.
Uh-huh.
That's incorrect. It's Florida, the southernmost southern state. Then it's Georgia. Then it's South Carolina, and then it's North Carolina. Then from North Carolina, if you keep going up, you get Virginia.
Yeah. So
My bad. I overspoke. Yeah, go ahead, Flight.
So are the Hornets, did they close the gap and get into a closer round with some of these other tougher teams in the East? Are they better than Detroit? Are they better than did they get to Orlando? I'm trying
Well, they was already better than Detroit as is, even though Detroit smacked them around a few times. So the record shows you who you are. So you can't deny that by the record. So I don't know if they're better, because the jury is still out on how well the Charlotte Hornet will mesh, what type of formation or foray they will have defensively, and what kind of imminent attack they will have offensively. So the jury is still out on him.
What
So
about the Toronto and
I can't
Brooklyn?
say that
Okay,
again.
okay. After the two bottom squads, has Charlotte got to the realm of the Raptors and the Nets? That's 12 and 11.
Well, we can't say just yet because they haven't played, and we know Mark Williams is going to be out for an extended period of time. Mark Williams is going to be out for maybe another 2 months, for sure, a month or 6 weeks, because they're going to reevaluate Mark Williams in 4 weeks. And when they reevaluate him, based on that reevaluation, he still won't be cleared to play until a couple of weeks after that, if it's a positive. But if what else you ready to say? But if the mellow ball comes back in time, then we have a better assessment on that as well. But it seemed like the mellow ball was going to be out for an extended period of time as well, according to Mitch Kupchak. And they hope to have the mellow ball back soon. And I already went on a rant with the LaMelo Ball situation. He came back too soon, wasn't supposed to come back. When he was out in LA, him and his dad chopping it up, and he was telling him that he's not going to come back until he's 100%. And LaMelo came back a little too soon, and he wasn't 100%, and now he's out again dealing with ankle soreness. So that right there shows you that LaMelo Ball is stubborn to some degree, but it's a good stubborn because he wanted to be out there to help his team. And I know LeVar, was a little perturbed when he heard the ankle soreness, and he said, "I told you, son, I told you, but you ain't listening." But at the same time, he want to be out there to help his team to prove that he's worthy amongst his peers to be able to crunch the numbers of 260 million, like Anthony Edwards and Tyrese Halliburton. So to a fault, this has been detrimental to the number.
Yeah, you're right about that, Dex. But I just hope that Charlotte could get to the promised land. I thought that Charlotte was going to get to the playoffs this year, or they was at the very least to play in. I mean, even Mitch Kupchak said, I don't think nobody thought it was going to be this bad. It wasn't supposed to go like this, and it did. And like I said, right now the Hornets, they are embracing their situation. This is, I mean, I wouldn't say a full-blown rebuild. I call it like a soft rebuild, reset, whatever you want to call it. But they are definitely mixing and matching these pieces, because it just wasn't working out. And give them courage to even doing this, because they could have did this a year sooner. They paid PJ this summer just to trade. The contract when they gave it to him was a tradable contract, so very tradable. And it's crazy because he held out in Charlotte. His contract this whole season was a little complicated, if people remember. It didn't go.
And that's my point that I was making earlier, is that he had all summer to garner a landing spot, but there was no takers. There was nobody buying. Everybody was selling when it came to PJ Washington. And that gave the Charlotte Hornets a great leverage advantage in negotiating his current contract that he's under right now, and made him palatable. But you say that again, made him palatable to other teams that anxiously wanted his contribution in their silo. So based on that, Mitch Kupchak did a wonderful job to structure that contract to make it very digestible for teams like a Dallas, especially contending teams. You know what I'm saying? And PJ should be happy. We know that PJ had tears. According to Mitch Kupchak, PJ had some tears in his eyes when he met up with Bud Peterson at the airport prior to them going to Barcelona and PJ Washington on his way to Dallas. So he had a little tears in his eyes because, he got drafted by them. He spent all of his career with them up until the point of the trade deadline of this season. And it's expected, you know what I'm saying? It was just it's a teary-eyed moment, They gave hugs, and now it's bon voyage on to the next. So, you had an opportunity, PJ, to right the ship and you just failed it, and you just happen to you failed it. I mean, let's just keep it what it is. Let's say it what it is. You failed. They gave you the opportunity to be who and what you think you were, and nobody was convinced in the Charlotte Hornets organization.
Yeah,
Shout
man.
out to Sky, Big
Yeah,
Al. You're right. I'll check out a map. You know what I'm saying? Even though I'm somewhat of a well-traveled man, it just a brain fart right there, Big Al. Don't kill me, okay? Because if you want to kill me over that, I can't wait to get a chance to snap at you when you make your folly content.
a little off the wall question. We got Sky in the building. You got. What's your thoughts on the Pelicans, Dex?
You know what? Me and Jessica had a very wonderful time on the stream last night. We took it to the distance. Like you had to kick us off because we were just cooking, and we were very long-winded at that. She brought up a lot of good points about the Pelicans, and I'm just so happy for Jessica and her basketball knowledge increase, especially about the Pelicans. And she straightened my chin. I tell you that, Flight. She sure straightened my chin. So I don't have a head down against the Pelicans. But with the Pelicans being the sixth seed and just whooping the Clippers behind, bringing the Clippers back down to earth, taking the Clippers out of the first place slot of the Western Conference down to the fourth place slot in the Western Conference, and just that one beatdown. The Pelicans, man, I mean, they're a scary team. I think outside of the Lakers, nobody wants to see the New Orleans Pelicans in a seven-game series to start off the playoffs because they're so unpredictable. And like Jessica was elaborating, 1 minute they can look like world beaters, and the next minute they can just look like they're deflated. So if the Pelicans can get hyped up from the words of Willie Green and James Borrego, they're going to be something to reckon with in the first round of the playoffs, and especially if they come in healthy.
Yeah, I was about to say, speaking of healthy, what's up with Zion? He ain't had no issues this season. It seemed like this shit been as clear cut as ever.
Well, he had a few hiccups. Zion had a few hiccups, but it was nothing major. You know, it was nothing major. He had some incremental injuries throughout the first half of the season, but it was nothing major. But Flight, when it comes to the New Orleans Pelicans, David Griffin and Willie Green have come to a consensus that Zion is healthy enough and ready enough and focused enough to re-enter the Point Zion experiment. And that right there could be scary because against the Clippers, as Jessica pointed out, he had 10 freaking assists. So that's great playmaking from Zion. And he wasn't worried about putting the ball in the bucket. He just wanted to win. If Zion can maintain that kind of psyche, just worry about the win and not trying to match bucket with Brandon Ingram, because Brandon Ingram have a deeper and different bag than Zion, the Pelicans will be the most scariest team in the Western Conference when it comes to extended season. It's like,
Right, no, I totally agree with that. Big Guy, what you think about the Pelicans?
Man, I can care less. Hey, let me ask. Hey, let me address
Go
Dex
back, we
real
go back
quick,
to
right? Let me address Dex, and then let me address something with the Hornets. It's halftime right now. Is that okay, Flight?
Listen, we're not even. The Hornets is losing by 30.
Yeah.
It's halftime. It's halftime all night.
I get it, but can I address it though? You cool? You cool with me addressing it?
Yes, I just told you we having halftime all night. The Hornets down 30. Go ahead.
All right. Hey, Dex, you know we're above Georgia, right?
yeah, that was a gaff. That was a gaff.
Okay,
I don't know what made me say that. You know what I'm saying?
Also,
yeah. But I
we are
apologize though. So why are you going to be the
Tennessee
dead
is
horse?
not above North Carolina. We
Well, they
are
equal, right?
level. But
They
anyway,
equal.
also, It's not Bud Peterson. It's Buzz Peterson. Okay, that's the
Yeah,
last
Buzz.
name.
Buzz Peterson.
Buzz.
Okay.
Yeah, he was actually Appalachian State's coach when it was in college. But yeah,
Yeah, it was Michael
yeah. So
Jordan's roommate.
yep, he was.
So say that. Don't say nothing about no Appalachian State College. Who cares? He was Michael Jordan's roommate. Shit.
He was the coach at Appalachian State. I mean,
But who cares about that? People want to know
I know.
what
I
was
know
it.
you.
If
I
you
don't
was a
care
fly
what
on
you
the
think.
wall. Okay, listen. If you was a fly on the wall, would you want to be a fly on the wall at Appalachian State or in the dorm room with Bud Peterson and Michael Jordan? Yes, sir.
Flight, I need you to throw him off the paddle real quick. No, I'm just joking. But yeah, so about the Hornets, man. Hey, Flight, have you ever done any kind of stream addressing this bullshit this bad refereeing of these games for the
Al,
Hornets?
stop it, Al.
No, I'm
Stop,
not
Al.
stopping
Don't do
nothing.
that. Don't do that, Al.
No,
Don't
I'm
bring
not
that. Don't bring that
stopping,
shit
bro.
back.
No, man. Somebody needs to give somebody a big hit and get a fine.
Dak's been talking about the calls all
We've
season.
been talking about that all season. Exactly.
I mean, what is it though? I mean, because this is bull. Okay,
Don't
they up
worry.
30,
That's going to
but
change. That's
but
going to
listen,
change.
okay, they up 30, but look, if you
No, they
not
down
getting
30.
no
Yeah, what,
They
calls,
not up
yeah.
nothing.
oh, my
They
fault.
not up nothing.
My fault. You got me, Dex. Oh, you finally got me. They down 30, but if the refs get given all these bad calls, that takes your resolve to actually play hard away.
It
So I
does. You're
mean,
right. As a
you could care
basketball player
less.
yourself, you know. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, if you up there and you not getting calls, I mean, who the hell? What is
But
this?
listen. Let me share this with you. The Charlotte Hornets, if they're playing for wins right now, they're the dumbest team known to man. The Charlotte Hornets should be playing for chemistry and playing for situation basketball. That's the approach that Cliffy should have with this team. Mitch Kupchak already said they're dead and stinking. They're like they're on the bottom of the ocean. You follow what I'm saying? So go ahead.
Go, Dax.
No, I'm saying so there's no need to try to play for wins. Just play to learn how to play. And in situational times. So when you do get a caliber team that have a spirit of winning, you won't have any type of mental gaps, or at least many mental gaps in those type of situations.
We will be it will be play by play tomorrow if we get confirmation that the new guys are playing. I know they're doing their physicals today and things like that. But if they clear tomorrow, we will be giving play by play on their game.
All right, I look forward to that. Who are they playing?
I'm watching the game. I mean, the Hornets is horrendous, man. I was hoping the shit was gonna get close.
Right.
I would have did something, but I mean, they losing by 30. I mean, what the fuck?
Okay, they play the Grizzlies tomorrow, but yeah, I agree on the game tonight, Flight, because I was watching and I'm like, Dex, you have a good point. They should be worried about winning, but they should be competitive.
No, they shouldn't be worried about winning. See, this is the same thing.
That's what I said. They shouldn't.
And let me explain why. So nobody that's out there
should be competitive
misconstrued.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you can be competitive. If you play situational basketball, you're gonna always be competitive. But listen, look at the Cleveland Cavaliers back in the day. Look at the Orlando Magic 2 and 3 years ago. Look at the Houston Rockets. Remember, Stephen Silas said, listen, we're not worried about wins. We're just trying to teach these young guys how to play. You understand what I'm saying? And now look at the Houston Rockets. They're very more competitive. Look at what Chauncey Billups is doing up there in Portland. He's not playing for wins. He's just trying to get these guys to have some chemistry and learn how to play basketball in crucial moments. And out of that, you're going to get some wins, but you're not going to be a winner. And look at Orlando Magic. Remember how they just run up and down the court? Now look at Coach Mosley, how he got them. These guys are looking to win now after they learned how to play basketball, running up and down the court, getting their head bruised night in and night out. So this is the reward for that. And this is why when you have a bad team, just teach them how to play the game. And once you teach them how to play the game, then they will want to learn how to win the game. Because now I know how to play. Now I need to know how to win. You follow what I'm saying? Instead of teaching them how to win, but they don't know how to play. So that means all your winning is accidental.
And drafting
Say,
Paulo don't hurt either, Dex.
not only Paulo, Frank Wagner. Shit.
Yeah.
Franz Wagner. You
Right.
see what he's doing? That
Mm-hmm.
dude is killing.
Mm-hmm.
So, but until then, you just gotta teach him how to play. Don't worry about no wins. And that's was something that I had criticism about under the James Borrego era. Even though they did win 43 games, but a lot of that was just sheer talent and just happen chance. Because James Borrego, out of a lot of those wins, they asked him, "What did you do to win?" He was like, "Hey man, I'm gonna tell you, I had no idea. These guys just brought it together. Gordon Hayward with his leadership, Miles Bridges with his aggression, and LaMelo Ball with his freestyle. It just all came together. Terry Rozier was really hot out there, and Tay was hitting from the distance. This is the stuff he was saying. So basically, he said, "Hey man, these guys was off script, and they won the game because of talent."
Wow, that's a
But
good point, Dex. Yep.
but at the
Yep.
same time, Borrego, he might have tried. I can't take that from him. We probably tried. The guy just wasn't listening to him. Because I remember watching them play and James Borrego calling timeout and nobody's coming over there at the clipboard, really. And I was like, what the hell's going on here? Why Gordon Hayward's not at the clipboard? You know what I'm saying? And one of the timeouts, I saw one of the coaches tap LaMelo. LaMelo wasn't in the game, but he tapped LaMelo and told LaMelo to come up to this. How close I was sitting to come up to the huddle because of optics. This is a nationally televised game. You understand what
Wow.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
He told him
Yeah.
that.
So
This
it
is a
looks
nationally
good to the
televised
public.
game. Yeah, he looks
Yeah.
good because the camera's right there.
Right.
And I was like,
Wow.
oh, this is a dog and pony show. I had never
Mm.
seen that before in my life. And I've been to plenty of Lakers and Clipper games. I have never seen a coach come to remind the player this is a nationally televised game. We all need to be up at the huddle. So that showed me if it wasn't a nationally televised game, they would be over there playing footsie. So that's why when the camera caught them laughing and all that, that's what they do all the time. That's not nothing new. And people want to come down on them. And I'm like, why would you come down on them when if you ever been to a Charlotte game, you see them guys over there all the time. James Bouknight, Kai Jones, LaMelo Ball, and
Can I say
what was
something?
that? It was another guy too. Jalen McDaniels playing footsies.
I want to
Soccer.
add to that, Dex. Well, you just said
Okay, go ahead.
something. I'm real quickly. You said something about the video and laughing. It was picked up by the national media. That game wasn't televised either, but it wasn't the Hornets media who picked it up. MSG picked it up because that was a Knick game. That was Walt Clyde and Mike Breen who picked that laughing shit up. If they didn't pick it up, that shit would have went unnoticed.
Unnoticed, yeah. Good point.
They was the ones
like I
who
said,
highlighted it.
they do it all the time. I'm telling you. And I know a lot of them other guys who worship LaMelo and hold him up as a shrine. They don't highlight that. But I seen it. And Flight, I got it on camera. It's in your
So
library.
hey, time
Like, what the
out.
fuck are these dudes out here doing? They
Let
just
me ask a
laughing,
question.
joking.
I said when Melo and them was live, I said for Melo it wasn't a good look, but I give Melo a pass because individually he kind of what he gonna bring, but Book Night I didn't give him no pass.
No, you can't give nobody a pass in that situation. I'm be honest.
So hey
The
guys,
only
I
reason
gotta ask you
why,
a question.
okay, hold on one second. The only reason why I never really pushed the meter on that when I witnessed it is because LaMelo was in his second year. So I would put that burden on the Terry Roziers and the Gordon Haywards and the Cody Zellers of the world to I'm not was it Cody Zeller? No, Mason Plumlee. It was Mason Plumlee. Mason Plumlee's of the world to kind of qualm that. But Gordon Hayward and Mason Plumlee wasn't talking to nobody except themselves. And I noticed that. That's when I was like, oh, it's a separation. It's a separation right here. You know what I'm saying? They ain't fucking with them young black dudes.
Yeah.
The only
Mason
black dude that
Plumlee.
they kind of mess with was Cody Martin. He was the only one that kind of flirt with Gordon Hayward and Mason Plumlee. But the other dudes, it was they on the whole side of a different bench. And I was like,
Mason
oh
Plumlee
shit.
and Gordon Hayward were real close, apparently, because
Yeah.
Yeah,
I seen it.
they stuck together. They were
And
only
I'm
two
old
white
enough
guys.
to recognize, okay, I see what this is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Those dudes, it wasn't, I'm not saying it's a racial thing. What I'm saying is it was a professional thing. These guys came here as a professional basketball player to conduct business on the court. These other guys are still having fun. You know what I'm saying? And it's still a lore like, God, we here, we made it. We're on the NBA team. And, you know, they shucking and jiving and probably talking about what's the hottest club they're gonna go to after the game in whatever particular city they're in. You know what I'm saying? Gordon Hayward and Mason Plum, they going home to their wives and kids. Terry Rozier is a part of that from time to time. You know what I'm saying? Where y'all going tonight? Where we gonna go tonight? We taking the party to your crib. Shit, no, LaMelo got the biggest crib. We go to that one.
Mm.
And now I'm
So,
glad
hey
a lot of this
guys,
shit
so I
is
got a
gone.
question. Hey, so going forward, I mean, because this is a glaring question, like with LaMelo, because you know the national media has tried to point him out as being, you know, a non-leader because of that. How do y'all think that would affect?
Quickly, I ain't heard the media go too ape shit, but I feel like it's coming. You know, where they're gonna start putting their narratives out there. You know, even Melo, to me personally, individually, Melo played all-star level all season long until he got hurt, and it is what it is. But the NBA is definitely behind Tyrese Halliburton. They got the machine behind him. You could just feel it. You know, LaMelo, the machine was not behind LaMelo. You know, he was the machine. You understand? But the machine is behind Edwards. You can just look at the different commercials. Just every day, just more highlighted. Melo gets featured. He was on the NBA 25 or 75 commercials. Now, I ain't gonna sit up here and say they ain't pushing them, you know, but it should be a lot more. And right now, they got the machine behind Halliburton. It don't make no sense. And that's not me disrespecting Tyrese. These are good young players. But I'm just saying.
See, the thing of it is tie. That's what we call it. Tie or Tally. He's behaving. You follow what I'm saying? Now, I met him in person, so I know his psyche. He's a company guy. Listen, sooner or later, Ty will be the president of the Players Association. Listen to what I just said. You heard it first on Flight Sports TV. He will be the president of the Players Association. And he will be a vice president of the Players Association as well. You follow what I'm saying? He is definitely a company guy. I talked to him. I read his demeanor, and the guy is clean cut. What a snow bunny. A beautiful snow bunny that is. He ain't got no ugly snow bunny. And she ain't wearing a whole lot of makeup either. This is nice, pure, pretty porcelain white girl. You follow what I'm saying? And I talked to her, talked to him, and I understand why Tyrese is the industry plant. And this is why I can say it with conviction. Because when he was up there in Sacramento, because that's where I met him at. When he was up there in Sacramento, he was already, to some degree, what we call in the streets, shortstop. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that term, but when you used to be out on the block hustling, peddling in that poison, and somebody not really from that block be down the street cutting off your customers so they don't reach you, we call that shortstop. And you get your head peeled for them if you get caught. You know what I'm saying? Because we wonder why it's a slowdown in traffic. Like, damn, it's slow today. And come to find out, there's somebody in the bushes cutting off the customers. So Tyrese gave me that kind of feel when it came to Fox. It almost seemed like Darion Fox wasn't really into that company type guy role. And Tyrese was kind of undercutting his and jockeying for position with ownership and the executives. Because I was in the midst of the ownership and the executive. Actually, I spoke to the owner of the Sacramento. The first and only time I ever spoke to a billionaire, I ain't spoke to one since. But Tyrese was very favorable amongst that group. And this is when Luke Walton was a coach, of course. And Alvin Gentry on the sideline. And Tyrese was right in the midst of that. There was no sight of Darion Fox. No sight. So as an ambassador to the Sacramento Kings, and he's a very good ambassador. I give it to him. He's a very good ambassador. You know, Tyrese, Ty is smooth. He's a square, but he's one of them smooth squares. You know what I'm saying? And if he wasn't playing basketball, I'm quite sure he'd have a job at the CIA. That's how smooth he is and convincing. So you have players like that. And so he was a perfect candidate to be the next pride of the machine and used as an industry plant, especially when his numbers start to increase with the Indiana Pacers. So to Tyrese benefit, he have jockeyed his way into be a favorable amongst the oligarchs and the board of governors to one day represent the NBA as an ambassador, because he has a smile, he has a clean look, you know, he has a attractiveness about himself, he has a handsome ability to speak to the various forms of listeners and fans and reporters in the NBA. And that's what you need.
Dex, I got a question for you. I hope we get the true story on what happened with Fox and Halliburton. But do you think Fox got him traded? Do you think what happened between them two? Because like you said, now that you said that, I understand where he was coming from. He was trying to backdoor Fox, but in a corporate way. You know, trying to almost let the organization know, listen, I'm the face of this shit. I could be the face. Y'all better get behind me, goddammit. And like I said, it's what made you think they picked Fox? You know, because obviously it was a hell of a decision. They couldn't went wrong either way. You know, but what went into keeping Fox, and how you think it all went down?
I don't know how I can speculate.
We just
speculate
because, like I said, I can't.
Because I don't know. Yeah, I really don't know that much of it. So, because I would never lie to kick it. I think what happened was Fox became more corporate. I think Clutch Sports, got in his ear and told him, "Hey, man, this guy is swooning the executives." And so next thing you know, Fox cut his hair and start being more of an ambassador to the team. And that's probably what they wanted anyway, because Fox was already a proven player coming out of college. You know what I'm saying? And Fox had that swag about him based on his encounters with ZO2, Lonzo Ball himself, right? So he's a part of that cloud of hysteria that came in that 2017 draft. Fox had more flair than Jason Tatum. You know that, right? Fox had more flair than Bam Adebayo. You know what I'm saying? So the only person that really had the flair was Lonzo, right? But then you had Fox and you had Markelle Fultz. So a lot of people forget the Markelle Fultz flair. Jason Tatum didn't have that flair, even though he was a Dookie. He didn't have that flair like that. Because they were thinking Jason Tatum, Brandon Ingram, would it be kind of the same? Would he have a slow start coming into the league in his matriculation and then eventually be acclimated into a minute playing role? You know what I'm saying? That's what the talk was about Jason Tatum, because it was being coveted that the Boston Celtics wanted Lonzo Ball. And since they couldn't get Lonzo Ball, because Magic Johnson talked to Danny Ainge and said, if Lonzo don't want to come, you shouldn't force him, because the Boston Celtics is a legacy franchise, and you being embarrassed your franchise drafting a player that don't want to come, even if it's at number one. So Danny decided, you know what, you're right, Magic. Let me go ahead and flip this, and I'm going to make a trade with the Philadelphia 76ers. And then the rest is history. And we know how Jason Tatum turned out. And we know how Markelle Fultz and Lonzo Ball turned out to this point. So out of all that, De'Aaron Fox, he had some fire coming in. Now, a lot of us don't even remember who won the national championship that year. But we remember the clash between UCLA and Kentucky in the Sweet 16. Think about that. It seemed like after that, we don't even know what happened. We don't remember Peyton Pritchard whooping the shit out of De'Aaron Fox in the Elite Eight. Huh? Do we remember that? Of course not. So this is why Tyrese Halliburton and Darion Fox was a somewhat perplexing deal, because you had a clean cut guy in Tyrese Halliburton, but then you had the guy that had some popularity and people wanted to pay to come see Darion Fox, because this is the guy who they claim destroyed Lonzo Ball in the Sweet 16. And Sacramento's in California. You know what I'm saying? So that northern southern rivalry kept its lure, because Lonzo went to the Lakers, Darion Fox went to Sacramento. It was almost back in the day where the Sacramento Kings and the Lakers used to have their clashes in the playoffs, but instead of being the playoffs, they were just having their clashes and rivalry in the season, because neither one of those teams was playoff caliber ready. So Tyrese Halliburton being drafted in that mix, because you got to remember the Kings drafted Tyrese Halliburton, and after Tyrese Halliburton, they drafted Davion Mitchell. They was doing that Charlotte shit, keep drafting all these damn guards. And so Darion Fox is like, what's up? You got to make a choice, because he backed by Clutch Sports, so they don't play that. Why are you drafting all these guards? What are you indicating? And there you have it. And Darion Fox and Clutch Sports decided, hey man, you're gonna have to be more corporate, because it looks like these guys are trying to move off of you. You out here, doing what you're doing with all this wild ass hair and looking like a baby predator. I'm talking about the movie Predator, not no sexual predator. A baby predator out here bouncing on the court. You're not being appealing. And Sacramento needs appealing, because they need sponsorships, because they're not winning. And so Tyrese Halliburton was a great candidate to move that franchise forward while they was not winning, to be a nice face to put before the people, to make it financially appeasing for the organization. And like I said, Clutch Sports is a little smarter than that. So they put Darion Fox on game. And next thing you know, Darion Fox cut his hair, became more vocal, started doing interviews more often, didn't leave it up to Tyrese Halliburton to explain what happened in the game. You know what I'm saying? And the rest is history. And since he couldn't do it there, let's go to another market that you can probably be a face of and help secure income for that market. And then you have Indiana, because Indiana didn't have nobody. They had what, Malcolm Brogdon for a little while. And we all know Malcolm Brogdon is the Tim Duncan of point guards. Ain't gonna say much, but he's gonna do a damn good job and get the job done. That's Malcolm Brogdon. You know what I'm saying? That's why they consider him the Tim Duncan of point guards when it comes to that. You there, Flight? Can y'all hear me? Can anybody let me know y'all can hear me? Oh, shout out to Marquez. I don't know where the hell Flight went, but yeah. So when you look at it like that, it was a unique situation for the Sacramento Kings, and the Sacramento Kings definitely done the right thing by trading Tyrese Halliburton to Indiana, a market that was a vacuum of our identity. They didn't have. I mean, they tried to put Turner as the face. That didn't work, because he didn't want that, and they just didn't have anybody. And the identity of the Indiana Pacers were just up in air. And so Tyrese Halliburton fell in the perfect vacuum to uplift that franchise. And man, did he do a wonderful job. And not only did he uplift that franchise, he became an all-star 2 times. And he was able to receive and be announced first for the $260 million contract coming out of that prolific 2020 draft. and it was well deserved for Tyrese Halliburton in his achievement moving forward as the face of Naptown basketball. You know, and Indiana as a state have a whole lot to say about basketball. So basically, there you have it. So both teams benefited off that. Like, where you at, bro? Both teams benefited off that because both teams have been trending north. Now, remember last season, Indiana was looking like a playoff team until Tally went down, and then they fell out of favor. But Sacramento maintained and ended up the 2 seed in the Western Conference, and just happened to stumble over Golden State, which was a good matchup, but it wasn't a great matchup because they was able to take that series into 7 games. And by being able to take that series into 7 games, it was good. It was good for the Sacramento Kings to be able to participate in such a tough fought out series for the Battle of Northern California. And that was crazy, you know. And and a lot of people really don't know that kind of atmosphere. You know, Spike Lee was, probably more informed because Spike Lee is from Sacramento and he's a basketball head, and he was up on that Tyrese Halliburton and De'Aaron Fox situation. But yeah, it was incredible. And look, I thank the Sacramento King owner for sharing a few words with me, because who am I, right? In his eyes, he probably thought I was a grasshopper. You know what I'm saying? Giant, and he felt it was worthy enough for me. Well, for him, he felt it was worthy enough for him to be able to lend some of his attention to me. And I'm gonna tell you, it wasn't no lengthy conversation either. You know what I mean? Because those people of that ilk don't lend their ears to any and everything. So it was an interesting dynamic that protruded that situation, because I had a mask, because it was a mask mandated event. I had a mask on with LED lights, very unusual and unique mask. And it had Jello, G-E-L-O, Jello, synchronized across my mouth, the face of the mask. And that was so intriguing that he had to lend his attention to it, the owner of the Sacramento Kings. And actually, we took a picture. I didn't use my phone to take a picture, but he used one of his assistant phones to take a picture with me in that mask, because he thought it was so intriguing that I would be so bold enough to sit in that area amongst him with that mask on. And that is the same reason why Tyrese Halliburton reneged on his promise to give Flight Sports TV an exclusive interview at that time, because of the Jello mask. So that's how I know they pay attention to these ball boys. Trust me, they pay attention. Because if he didn't, that mask wouldn't have triggered Tyrese Halliburton to not fulfill his promise of giving me an interview at the halftime mark of the game. And listen, to be honest with you, I'm not ashamed to say it, but Tyrese Halliburton didn't speak to me no other time. He spoke to me through his girl. Could you believe that? He spoke to me through his girl after seeing Jello go across my face with the LED lights. He had no more words for me. He felt that offended, which I thought was crazy in itself. He felt that offended. So they do pay attention to these ball boys, regardless of what this media try to make you believe, or regardless of what any stream try to make you believe. Like these ball boys are invisible. No, they're not. They are very much aware of what the Ball family represent in this basketball landscape. Because if that wasn't the case, like I said, and I wouldn't lie to you, I wouldn't lie to you even if you put a gun to my head. And I'm not lying to you now. Because if I'm lying, I'm flying. And God damn it, you don't see no wings on my back. That showed me right then and there how much these players are keen on the favorability of the ball boys. Because Jello wasn't even in the league. This was a year before Jello actually became a member of the Charlotte Hornets in the preseason. The year prior to. He wasn't even in the league. And this guy is tying his panties in a bunch because I got a D'Angelo mask. I mean, come on, for crying out loud. It's a mask mandated event. And you tripping like that over somebody that's not even in the league? It's kind of sad, to be honest with you. But I don't begrudge it. And I'm not going to come off like some old curmudgeon who just want to have beef with somebody. No. I just thought it was pretty idiotic to me that you're going to shut down a line of communication for an interview that is global. Because Flight Sports TV is a global entity. At any given time, anywhere on this planet, somebody can tune in to Flight Sports TV. And you can gain a new fan. But he shunned all that visibility and heightened profile on a Ball family oriented YouTube channel. Just because I had Jello synchronized across my face in a mass mandated event. I thought that was petty. And I'm quite sure if that happened to one of y'all, you probably would have felt the same. Because prior to that, and I don't regret having my mask because that's what I was representing. Matter of fact, that mask got me on ESPN. I don't know if y'all remember that. That shit got me on ESPN right there. Sure did. I was on ESPN. I'm talking about not no ESPN 2 Plus, not no ESPN College. No, I was on ESPN, Sports Center ESPN, top 10 highlights for that game. It was a top 10 highlight. They got me right there. Sure did. I still got the video. But nevertheless, I just thought it was kind of petty for Tyrese Halliburton to back out of a committed situation. You know, he could even told me, "Hey man, can you kind of take that mask off? You want me to give you an interview? Can you take the mask off?" And because I don't want to be looking at Jello roll across your face. I'm not too fond of it. And I would have did it. Of course I would have took it. You know what I'm saying? But that wasn't the case. He didn't give me that opportunity. He just was like, I'm done. I'm done with it. No more conversation. After we was all being jubilee and joyful and laughing and just talking shit, you know, we was amongst some of the players' family and stuff like that. Like I said, the ownership was right in the midst of us. The coaching staff was right in the midst of us. I'm talking about the coaching staff for the Sacramento Kings. Was right in the midst of us. And we seemed like we was having a gay old time. But something triggered. Well, not something, we know it triggered. The Jello mask triggered Tyrese Halliburton to the fact that he felt it was disgusting and he removed himself from a committed situation. Even Alvin Gentry himself, who used the word dumpster fire in relationship to the New Orleans Pelicans. Yeah, y'all forget about that, Pelican fans. He called y'all dumpster fire. And that was the first time I heard that term being used in a sporting event. There wasn't no political talk or no grassroots community rap. Dumpster fire. I said, man, you use dumpster fire in a basketball situation, a sporting event situation. Yeah, it was that dire. Yeah, Alvin Gentry was the first person I heard use that term in that situation. And I've been hearing it ever since. But nevertheless, he even giggled about my mask, pointing to me and laughing at my mask. But it was a giggle, a friendly giggle. It wasn't like he was making mockery. He was more astonished with the technology than anything. Because how Jello was in various colors and LED lights sequentially moving across my face. So he was fascinated about the technology of the mask. You know, because them old heads, they don't really know much about technology. So, and that's what happened, man. And so Darion Fox won, I guess, whatever conversation he might have had in the offseason, because Clutch Sports is a great representation. Mitch Kupchak just gave them cadoodles about the Miles Bridges situation, saying how his representation was so supreme, and this is why he still remained on the team. He had great representation. So tip your hat off to Clutch Sports this fall. I think Thunder said on various streams that I seen Thunder in Flight Sports stream as well, just recently, that GMs have nightmares of Rich Paul looking under their bed. I thought that was pretty humorous. Looking under their bed, searching for Rich Paul when it comes time for trade deadline, free agencies, things of that nature. Contract negotiation. Yeah, that was a pretty good one right there. And it was just one of those deals that Darion Fox had the better representation. I think Tyrese Halliburton is CAA. I think that's the agency that represents him, and that's the largest agency in sports. CAA. Nobody bigger. They the big boys. And you got to also remember that Clutch Sports, they have a deep well of talent in the NBA. And when you look at it, they got two young stars of the 2020 draft in the All-Star game. Two, Anthony Edwards and Tyrese Maxey. We're not going to say Trae Young, because I'm not looking at Trae Young as the young stars that I'm talking. I'm talking about the group behind Trae and Luka Doncic. So when you have that kind of cachet, where you have two of the young stars in the NBA, one from each prospective conference, Western Conference and Eastern Conference, and one of your young stars is part of the number one seed in that conference and very much responsible for it, Ant-Man, to be exact. And then you have another who kind of dropped down, but at one point they was holding down the number 3 slot for a large portion of the season, in Tyrese Maxey. And Tyrese Maxey dropped a 50 piece on the heads of his opponents in recent games. So that's a lot of cachet to have in your stable. And so this gives you negotiating power and leverage when it comes to one of your players that might not have held up to expectation. So you get the benefit of the doubt for that player. And sometimes it's well deserved. It's well deserving for that player. And in this case, Miles Bridges is that player. And how can you be in disdain for Miles Bridges for having good representation? Because that's what you pay for, right? When you're in a situation like that, when you have agents and lawyers and accountants, you want it to be the best. If you pay for it, you want to get the best service available for your buck. And Miles Bridges have done that to this point, having Clutch Sports as his representation. And this is why he's still in the league. And this is why Clutch Sports gets some of the better young talent, because they can use these situations and show them how they don't give up on their clients. Where other agencies just might try to fall back or don't want to represent you anymore because the agency feel that you are beckoning to their call, that you work for them and they don't work for you. That's how some agencies carry it. And it looks like Clutch Sports carried as a real partnership, a real relationship. You know, we want the best for our client at all times, regardless of the situation, wrong or right. And if you can say a few words that can convince the negotiating parties from the opposite side of the table, that's a win-win for you. Because in the art of negotiating, especially when it comes time for selling, you're selling and they're buying, you want the guy with the biggest purse strings to win the negotiation. Business 101. That's what you want. And that's why you have Miles Bridges looking like he just might inserted himself into the conversation as a vital piece moving forward within the Charlotte Hornets organization. Congratulations to that, right? Because a lot of people felt that Miles Bridges didn't deserve a second chance. They felt that Miles Bridges ruined his opportunity and exhausted all of his remedies based on that one situation that made him a felon. But there was other incidents that led up to that the Charlotte hopeful frowned upon when it came to Miles Bridges' behavior. And then when it went over the edge, when he participated in an act of violence that he has been convicted of, because he pleaded non-contest. But to plead non-contest, they take that as a guilty plea. You're not saying you're innocent, you're guilty. Non-contest is saying that, okay, I'm not going to fight it. I'm not saying I'm innocent. I'm not saying I'm guilty, but I'm willing to accept the leniency of the court to fall favor on my situation. So I'm not contesting, and I'm not going to lie to you, but I'm not going to offer any other additional information. So I'm pleading no contest. And this is how he escaped jail time. Basically. Because in California, that is a devastating thing to do since 1994. And if you remember what 1994 represents, should I say white Bronco on a rampage in the city of LA, evading police based on an arrest attempt? White Bronco. AC and OJ. Since then, putting your hands on a woman is a grievous thing. I'm talking about legal. It's always been a grievous thing, but legally, oh my God, you can't do that no more. It ain't about separating the two parties. One go one way, one go the other way. Nah, you're going to jail instantly. You're going to be handcuffed. You're going to be detained. And we're taking you into the station to book. And the judge can decide later on if you was right or wrong. But your ass going to jail. Because they look upon her as a woman as a weaker species. And a man should be able to control his emotions. Because a man is not supposed to lead with the emotions. That's how they see it. And since, I believe, 1994, 4 years after the 1998, 4 years after the 1994 infamous OJ trial, that they even out the law with equivocation that a woman cannot hit you either. If she hits you and there's evidence of the attack, her ass is going to jail. And let the judge decide if she's worthy of incarceration or be released on recognizance. They call it the OR. So when Mitch Kupchak elaborated on today, it seems to be Miles Bridges is headed for an opportunity to sign with the Charlotte Hornets next season, in the offseason, and be a part of the conversation as a core piece in the Charlotte Hornets moving forward. And shout out to everybody that's in the chat. I appreciate y'all. Because you could be anywhere in the world right now, man, for real. 100 on Stacks, baby. You here with Flight Sports TV. And we appreciate Flight for powering this stream and Sam Drachler earlier as a guest. And Flight inviting us into his space and integrating us onto his platform. We appreciate it. And if you haven't hit that like button, please hit that like button. Because I don't want nobody to cheat the stream. So hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss one iota of an exuberant experience here at Flight Sports TV. And we all know that Flight Sports TV is a known and trustworthy mechanism. And it is an apparatus of truthful information based on sports content. And why not want to be a part of that night in and night out, right? It's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. And we're not going to give you content that's going to make you feel angry, make you feel like you're just being cheated out. No, we're going to give you some uplifting content, and we're not going to berate constantly. We're not going to berate any player that might be outside of our life? No, it's unnecessary. We want to celebrate everybody's positive, successful endeavor. That's what we want to do. Because none of us are angels. None of us. Not one. He without sin cast the first stone. So we all come with our flaws. And why should we highlight other people's flaws constantly, but yet shadow in our flaws? That's hypocritical. So this is not what we advocate here at Flight Sports. Now, we will give you what we like and don't like about a particular situation, player, team, or organization. But that's not overexposing flaws. It's about what we have observed, and we give you the yin and yang about what we have observed. Mark, shout out to Chris, shout out to Marquez, shout out to Testing, shout out to Junkin, shout out to Juju, shout out to Sky, shout out to Big Al, shout out to Sam Dracula, and hope I didn't miss anybody that I remember coming across. Shout out to Rap God Reloaded, of course. Shout out to Thunder. See Thunder come through here earlier. Shout out to Douglas Golden Child and everybody else that have participated in tonight's stream. We appreciate your engagement. It's always on top. You know, I'm talking about that top shelf engagement, so high that the babies can't reach it. We appreciate your participation. Oh, SMG was here. Oh shit, I missed that. Shout out to SMG. Matt, Marvelous Matt. Yeah, shout out to all those guys that came through, man. Like I said, we still rocking and rolling. It ain't nothing stop. Still rock and rolling. The game don't change, just the names. You feel me?
Please subscribe to Flight Sports TV, hit the like button, and leave a comment.
We're rocking tonight, baby. We're rocking tonight. And got a bit of good news for you when it comes to D'Angelo Ball. Yeah, D'Angelo Ball's good news. G3, G Honcho, 8-ball, corner pocket, sniper. D'Angelo Ball will grace the court soon. And it was told to me that he's already signed. He will be playing, and we will have all of the news and stream live, because I asked, I said, I want to stream this game live. And they're saying, you know what? I said, yeah, based on Flight Sports TV, stream the game live. And permission to stream the game. So we'll see. So D'Angelo Ball will strap up his G3s, AV the Hero, have a video out on his Instagram page. So go check it out, AV the Hero. Give you a visual of his shoes. The new G3s, they black. I'm thinking about copping a pair. So I think I might go down to the Big Baller and get a pair tried on. You know what I'm saying? Maybe have the Big Baller sign. I don't know. Maybe if I can get Jello to sign it, would be even better. Those shoes look tight. I ain't gonna even lie. I like them. I think I might spend some money. They're all black. The ones that AB the Hero show, they're all black, and they look well made. They look well made, and I don't really hear nobody talking shit about them. Maybe that's the reason why, because they're a well-made shoe. They just don't want no attention given to the shoe, so they're not gonna say nothing. They're gonna act like the shoe don't exist. But I was told when the shoe was in the manufacturing stage that this was going to be one of the best shoes the Big Baller brand produced. They went over to Asia and got the finest material and put the shoe together with care and caution, because they're going to roll the shoe out when Jello hit the court. And I think that's a great thing for D'Angelo, because a lot of people write D'Angelo, right? And yes, he's going to be playing the South of the Bridge. He'll be playing South. He'll be in North America, but it'll be South. They was teasing me at first when they said South. So I was like, what? South Atlanta? Orlando? I'm thinking of teams that need that sniper. Like Orlando? Or even Charlotte. And better yet, it's a possibility that he can get back up into Charlotte. Yes. I think they're going to watch his demonstration down in Mexico. And he might have an opportunity to get back up into Charlotte. This is what the conversation is being swirled around among certain pockets of those involved. So we just wanted to share that news with you. We've been sitting on it for a while, but since AB the Hero came out with the shoe thing, I guess we can go ahead and share this with you. We just don't want to be the first to bring it. Yes, he will be back in action. We will be streaming. So I know a lot of people are going to probably jump on the wagon, try to stream, you know. But we've been keeping D'Angelo Ball name in the topic of conversation, even when he wasn't playing. We sprinkle a little of this, but nobody bites onto it. So, you know, in various streams, we say little this, little that, giving you update information, because there has been people in the chat ask, where's D'Angelo? What is he doing? What's the update? Is he back balling? He's going to play. And some people with foolish takes saying that he probably never play again. He's done with basketball, or he won a model, or he's a dad, and all this type of stuff. Listen, basketball runs through this man's head. D'Angelo, out of all the ball players, want to prove and showcase that he belongs. That he's just not no celebrity flash in the pan. No, he got skills, and he's working out, and he continuously to work out and rehab. You know? So we're going to really see the development of D'Angelo Ball, because we know LeVar been working with D'Angelo during his rehab. Whether it's pumping iron, running in the pool, running some skills, whatever, pounding the pavement to get back on the hardwood. And like I said before, I definitely appreciate this man's journey, because it's an arduous journey. It's not, he didn't have the easy path. Even though he got the opportunity to play in the preseason for the Charlotte Hornets, it still looked like it wasn't right. It wasn't fair. Because now that at any point during his preseason showcase, D'Angelo Ball had an opportunity to get on the court with his brother. When they gave D'Angelo minutes, it was like throwing a steak in the middle of a cage of 10 lions, 10 hungry lions. You think those lions going to approach that steak under control? Of course not. And this was the atmosphere of Leangelo when he got put in the game. It was part of the game that nobody cared. So they were just out there wild. And just think, only 2 players on the Charlotte Hornet roster is still available that was a part of that last 5 of the Charlotte Hornet bench that got played 3 minutes or less in the fourth quarter. They call that throwaway. They were just getting throwaway. The coaches done folded up their clipboards and their statue cases, and nobody cared what was the results from those few minutes of basketball that was afforded Leangelo during his time with the Charlotte Hornets preseason roster. Those last 5 guys, nobody cared. Nobody cared, and nobody was coaching. And so this is why a lot of us cry foul play, is because you're not really giving this guy a shot. You know what I mean? You're just trying to appease his brother to some degree, or his pops, or somebody was being appeased, and it wasn't legitimate. It was more so just a circus act. And even when I asked LeVar, will Leangelo return to the Charlotte Hornets organization? And he looked at me with bewilderment in his constance by saying, "You answer that question, Dex. You answer that question. Would you?" Sarcastic reply. Would you? Would you return to that? So I said, okay, that ship sailed, huh? That's water under the bridge. And then he went on to entertain the stream as he fantastically does.
This is Holly Heat of the Hot Seat with Holly Heat, and this is Flight Sports TV.
And you know, LeVar can be a stellar entertainer. No matter where he goes, there's going to be forms of controversy because he is so straightforward, and he feels that he don't have anything to hide because he's not a gun for hire. He doesn't work for anybody but himself. So he can feel free to espouse or elaborate on something that piques his interest. And a lot of people are not built that way, because most people we know of notability is a gun for hire. And he who pays the piper, that's the tune the piper will play. So Leangelo Ball will strap up those all black, tough looking G3s, and he will be in uniform, bouncing that ball on that parquet floor, exciting those onlookers unto the hardwood in the continent of North America. And we here at Flight Sports TV is position ourselves to be able to stream live Leangelo Ball back in action. And this is what we want to see. Leangelo Ball getting a real fair shot back in action on neutral grounds where he doesn't have to approach the game like a ravenous lion who been starved in a cage and finally let loose. And when you have that kind of psychological approach A lot of times you become restless. A lot of times you become anxious, and that leads to recklessness on that hardwood. And this is what we see on a lot of young NBA players that might have not got drafted as high or might not have got drafted at all. That they're fighting for that last piece of steak bone. And things can get ugly real fast. So hopefully D'Angelo Ball will be in a good space, in a good place, rocking those G3s, putting that peel in the basket. So let's see how this works out. Junkin, I'm trying to read your thing, but I'm not really knowing what you're asking. Call Steve blaming the player, but they don't have no power in the management. Call them all out. I'm not sure how to read that. I'm sorry. I'm just not that intelligent, I guess. So Thunder says LaMelo gonna get those AD jokes now. Well, you know how that go. Yes, Jello is definitely strong, and it was definitely egregious, in my opinion. I agree with you, Chuck. That was crazy. But he has another opportunity to make a first impression, and I hope him well. And I was hoping to get an opportunity to get those G3s and get him to sign them. But it looks like the next time I'll be around in the area, he's probably be out on the basketball. So you got LaMelo out, D'Angelo about ready to embark on his new journey. You got Lonzo out, but Lonzo is ramping up his training regimen, putting up shots, dunking the ball. Uh, he's not moving swiftly, not just yet, but he's moving in multilateral directions, but nothing with acceleration. It's more so to check the stability and make sure there's no pain when he moves in various directions. And so all the people that said Lonzo was donezo, uh, you think they're going to apologize? You think they're going to apologize? I had put up the Lonzo Ball in my Google, not my Google search, but my YouTube search, and I was seeing all these videos. Oh, Lonzo is done. His career is over. Lonzo plans on retirement. LeVar ruined Lonzo's career. And I was just reading all that stuff, and I was like, where are these guys now? I mean, Lonzo has made an announcement, but I don't see these guys making any type of retraction video. Like, what's up with that, right? So that's how you know a lot of these guys are just not truthful. They just snake oil salesmen trying to get a buck off other people's misery. Because if they were sincere in their so-called digital journalistic approach with their content, then when you're wrong, you're supposed to make a retraction video or statement. If you don't make a video, just plaster it up on your community tab or page or something and let everybody know that, hey man, I missed this one. It's just like us with the Brandon Miller Screw Henderson dynamic. A lot of us came to the forefront. Hey man, I was wrong. What is wrong with being wrong? Yeah. The whole world is wrong. Look at the world right now. The whole world is wrong. But you the only guy that's right all the time. You see how idiotic that is and how idiotic that seems? I know I'm an older guy, 56 to be exact. And some of you guys are teeny boppers and puppies. So you don't see the world like I see the world. And you still walk around with a whole lot of pride. And I kind of understand that. Because what else you got to be, right? You don't have experience. So you got to go on pride. And sometimes that pride could just lead you to a fall. So I'm just here to let you know that, man, if you're wrong, admit it, get it out your system, get it over with, and move forward. Don't try to covet and coddle your wrongness because you embarrassed or you ashamed and you don't want to nobody to have an edge over you. That's not how that works. Come on, man. When you're wrong, admitted it, move on. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I can guarantee you it feels real good. Is it closed? Excuse me, ma'am, are you guys closed? They're closed? Yeah, and just admit it and be done with it. And it's a good feeling to know that you stood up for something that you was wrong about, but you position yourself to make a correction. What's next for Killian Hayes? I don't know, but I think Killian Hayes should go over to OKC. I think that'll be a nice landing spot for him. Because I don't see did it go through? I think. Yeah, I think Killian Hayes should go to OKC. That might be a good landing spot for Killian Hayes. I mean, he was a part of that 2020 draft with LaMelo Ball, and it didn't pan out for him. He started out well, you know. He started out a little sluggish, and then he got injured. That hurt it. Then they drafted Cade Cunningham. Okay, thank you. And that was a wrap. Once they drafted Cade Cunningham, that basically was a wrap for Killian Hayes. If he couldn't make it as a backup, that was a wrap. But then they had Corey Joseph over there. They just had a whole lot of fluff that was in Killian Hayes' way that made it very difficult for him to prosper over there in Detroit. So too bad for the Frenchman. He just was one of the guys that didn't make the cut. So hopefully he can find somewhere, he can land somewhere where he can, be a backup and just take his time and get some minutes. Because I don't know if his name have enough clout to just kind of sit around and wait for somebody to call him up. I don't think Killian Hayes have that. I think he's being marked as a disappointment from that draft because he was a lottery pick, right? I think it was like pick number 7 or something. I know he was picked up there in the top 10, I think. And for him to be jobless right now, that's not a good sign. Wow, RJ Hampton just got waived. Yeah, RJ Hampton, remember, he was the first one to announce to go over to the NBL. And then LaMelo followed RJ Hampton. And he was also a part of that It was that 2020 draft. And if he didn't make it, that's sad of him. Well, that's not good. So man, RJ Hampton and Killian Hayes, they couldn't get past that threshold. Well, they lasted 4 years. They had a 4-year run. So I don't know what to say too much about that. But that's not a good thing that RJ Hampton got. And a lot of people really thought that RJ Hampton, was a real good talent. I don't know, but maybe something else going on with RJ Hampton. Maybe it's beyond basketball. Because I remember that people thought RJ Hampton was a good talent. I even remember to some degree that was comparing RJ Hampton and LaMelo, even though RJ Hampton, I think, was a forward, small forward. They was comparing the two, and they was saying that RJ Hampton was more athletic and all that type of stuff. So for him not to make it after having high praise going over to the NBL and initiating that American Rising Star, that youth American Rising Star, to now being out of a job once again, it's not good. And it's not like that he's been getting a lot of minutes on the teams that's picking him up. Okay, I got this, and I got 2 apples as well. I'm gonna get another. Yeah, I'm gonna get another one.